Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from Sherwood Forest in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, hour one of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. I am your lovable, huggable, mid-morning chat host, Eric Von Haessler, surrounded by the Doctrinaires. Tim Andrews is here, Autumn Fisher is here, and of course, young Jared Yamamoto.
Good morning.
Good morning. I gotta tell you, I'm in a good mood, but it's a little bit bittersweet as I realize this is the last Friday of my hot girl summer. Everything's going by so quickly, but you know what? It is a 10 on the... Oh, that was a pretty bad one. It's a 10 on the Mellish meter. So let's get this beautiful day started just like this.
Headlines for Friday, September 20th.
There we go. Only a couple days left in my hot girl summer, and has it been one? Let me tell you.
Are you going to go back to your old spring ways when fall begins?
No, I don't know. I'll let fall take care of itself. I'm going to need some relaxation after my hot girl summer because this hot girl has had a summer. Just sad that it's coming to an end. All right, what do you got?
Big news, guys. We had another dropout in the Democratic race for president.
What happened? Joe Biden?
No.
Oh, you know what? I have the president here. He just tweeted about it, so why don't you make the announcement?
Oh, no. Really big political news. Perhaps the biggest story in years. Part-time mayor of New York City, Bill Deblasio, who was polling at a solid 0 but had tremendous room for growth, has shockingly dropped out of the presidential race. New York City is devastated. He's coming home.
I think you'd agree he had a high ceiling.
Real high ceiling.
Well,
he kept hitting his head on it. He's a big galoot.
Yeah, he is, when you hit at 0%, I think there's a lot of room for growth. That's the way that I look at it. But
Well,
I guess...
plenty of time for him to come back to New York and clean chimneys.
I just heard, I think it was Judge just said that the field got a little thinner. Did it? I mean, at 0%, when you drop out, does the field actually get thinner? I don't know.
If a de Blasio falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it,
Yeah. Did it
happen?
Did it happen? I don't know. So, all right. Well, he stopped making a fool out of himself. That's pretty bad. When you're the mayor of New York City and you're really, really on the left and you can't get above 0%, I would think a mayor of New York City in a Democrat primary should log in at 3 to 5%. You're just really, really hated, not just by conservatives, not just by Republicans, but quite obviously by an awful lot of lefties.
With his announcement this morning, he did make Morning Joe trend yet again on Twitter.
Anything that gets that pompadour hairdo trending online, I'm all in favor of.
Here was the formal announcement that he made on Morning Joe.
Getting out there, being able to hear people's concerns, address them with new ideas, it's been an extraordinary experience. But I have to tell you at the same time, I feel like I've contributed all I can to this primary election. And it's clearly not my time. So I'm going to end my presidential campaign, continue my work as mayor of New York City, and I'm going to keep speaking up for working people.
At the point that he drops the hammer, the big news that he's going to end his campaign for president.
Mika Brins.
Mika?
Yeah.
Good job, de Blasio. That's what you got on MSNBC. Yeah, well, he's a foolish man. I'm not in New York City, but people hate him. So even
he got
lefties,
reelected, didn't he?
Well, he got reelected because nobody ran against him. I mean, really? I mean, can anybody remember the person who ran against him?
No.
So, no. I think that he's universally disliked. And usually that's a good reason to skip this cycle. If you're a politician and you realize that you are universally disliked, you need a little more time before you run for president. He's a relatively young man. He can go out, do some charity work, get some people on his side, come back.
Run for governor of New York, maybe.
Run for governor. Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's going to win anything because I've not been to New York City at all, and I'm not there to know how incompetent he's perceived as the mayor. But if he can't be popular in New York City, he's not going to be governor or anything. He's just going to, pretty soon, he'll be done being mayor, and he'll just be some guy with a TV show on MSNBC, probably Saturdays at 7 p.m. Slot him in. The Deblasio Doctrine.
I met a gal a couple weeks ago, who works for
gal?
Yeah, a
What are
girl,
you-
a lady.
okay.
Excuse me, a lady.
Speaking from the 1940s, Jerry
Gal, I
Gelman.
met a nice
I met
guy.
a nice gal.
She had some nice matchsticks.
Nice pins.
She works for New York One, and she said
Yeah.
that everybody universally, whether they're left leaning or right leaning, hate De Blasio, but that he's good for ratings.
Now, yeah, well, the same way that Trump is good for ratings for MSNBC and CNN and Fox. He's good for ratings whether you love him or you hate him. De Blasio, I guess, is good for ratings because everybody hates him, whatever it takes. New York One, by the way, if you're not in New York City, it's like a 24-hour news network that's just about the city.
Right.
24 hours a day. And so even those reporters realize everyone hates him.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not there, so I don't know why he's that unlikable, but apparently he is. Next story.
Several hundred people have applied to replace retiring Johnny Isaacson Senate seat. This is the campaign that Governor Kemp has put together where you can apply online to be the next senator.
Have you applied?
I have not applied.
Well, you're not old enough. Do you have to be 30 or 35 to be senator?
Let me look that
I think
up. I
it's
can't
30.
remember.
No, I think you are old. I think you're just.
I think it's 18.
No, Brian Kemp, it's not.
No?
I think it's 30. I think you have to be 30.
Sounds good.
I think you have to be 25 to be in the House, 30 to be in the Senate, and 35 to be president, if I have that correct. It could be wrong. So, Brian Kemp, so you're taking, you got 200 people who have applied online. By the way, this is a good PR move, given all the false allegations against Brian Kemp and the way he became governor. So, to take a situation like this, an open seat, say anybody can apply online, it's good PR move, but that's all I see it as.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be ultimately, who you got in there? You got, about Stacey Abrams. Did she apply?
Well, right now I'm worried about the dogs.
Versus the Irish?
Them Irish are dirty fighters. We'll see how it goes. But Sunday morning, I'm going to open up my Zip Recruiter because I know I got a lot. But Stacey Abrams is certainly at the top of my list. But she's been busy being our other governor.
Yeah, so she may not want to quit her current job being the other governor of Georgia in order to get the Senate seat.
Yeah, I don't think she's one of these people who just wants something handed to her.
No, not at all. She wants.
I don't get that impression. She wants a hard fight.
That's right. And so you're going to let her just fight it out the next time she wants to run for Senate, probably.
Right.
I think that this is a good PR move, like I said, but I think it's. I'd put my money on Doug Collins. He appears to be the most.
Is he good?
He's ready for. Are you familiar with him? He's a Republican.
I don't know who he is.
Congressman from Georgia.
I'll look into him if you say so.
Well, after the game, sir. First, you got the Dogs versus
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, after the Dogs Notre Dame weekend is behind us, then you could really settle in.
Once that hangover wears off. Sick 'em.
Sunday morning, you'll go right through this process.
There may be somebody I haven't thought about or somebody that you would never have thought would want to serve and fight for Georgia every day in the U.S. Senate. And if there's somebody like that out there, this is giving them an opportunity to let us know.
So he'll dig through there. I think this is all just a PR thing to get ultimately Doug Collins.
Did you say Kirby Smart?
No.
Because I wouldn't want to take him from the dog.
No. I don't think Kirby Smart's going to submit his application
He'd
online.
be a good senator, though, I bet.
Can I make one request of
Sure.
Governor Kemp? After you've decided with this whole charade and then you pick Doug Collins because he's obviously the Republican who can win. When
I wrote his name down. I plan on looking into him.
Yeah, after you that, can you release all of the names of the people who submitted
Oh,
online?
sure. Would you like that?
I would like to know. Like, there's probably a guy in there who runs a hardware store who probably would be a damn good senator or somebody.
Oh, Kevin McMallister? Yeah, he runs
He's from LJ, right?
Yeah.
He does. He runs his own independent store up there in LJ. But he told me that he was interested, but then he's got nobody around.
With a last name like that, though, you cannot even think about a McAllister until after the Dogs.
Yeah,
sick
well,
'em.
he's Irish.
Sick 'em.
And I don't know where his loyalties
Yeah,
lie.
so you got to wait till this weekend gets
Hunker
behind us.
down, dogs.
So basically, what you're saying, Governor Kemp, is until that game ends, the business of Georgia is really on hold.
Well, Once the last
focused.
Once the last beer bottle filled with cigarette butts is thrown in the recycling bin, then we'll get on it.
Well, yeah, it's a holiday weekend around here with the fighting Irish in town. All right, what's next?
All right, Eric, I'm so glad that you're back to explain the story because there's so many layers to it. But,
back? Where did I go?
Well, you were.
Was I off yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were live. I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought we were live yesterday. Yeah.
Well, President Trump.
No, it's good to be back.
I'm glad that you're back because there's so many layers of the story that even I'm having trouble understanding what the crux of the story is.
Wait a minute. Hold on one second. Even you.
Even I.
Even an intelligent person when it comes to politics such as Jared Yamamoto, you're having trouble with the onion-like layering of this next story.
Yes. So here's the crux.
I'm not a big fan of onions, but I'll do the best I can.
President Trump is denying a news report about a promise that he made to a foreign leader that has prompted quite a buzz in Washington, D.C., including Adam Schiff going after him.
Yes.
I think it's some deal he made with a Ukrainian leader.
Well, we don't know. We think maybe
maybe
Ukraine is involved. Okay, so very quickly, from what I understand of this story, at some point a couple of months ago, the president is meeting with a foreign leader. He makes the whistleblower's allegation is that he made some sort of deal or became obligated to something through a conversation that the whistleblower, if we believe what's out there about this, a member of the Trump administration, a backer of Trump, but that this supposed whistleblower was so freaked out by this, he felt that he had to go to Inspector General. And when something like that happens, there are rules in place that say, well, Congress has to find that out as well. I don't believe that the rule says that you and I have to find out, but that the oversight committees of Congress needs to become aware of whatever this is. So the acting, what do they call it? There are so many acting people in different positions in intelligence, but one of them is an acting administrator, and they are requesting, Congress is requesting this information. He is stonewalling it. Now, another layer of the onion is, apparently, if you believe the story is coming out, he's not happy about it. He's angry with the White House that he's put in this position because he believes it's his responsibility to turn this over to Congress. The president's out there saying this is fake news. It didn't happen. Now, this is where I stand on it. I want the normal constitutional machinery to apply to this president, like all presidents. So if there is a machinery in place that says when a whistleblower's, when it is deemed by the Inspector General to be of a certain gravity, which it has, then Congress has the right to know. So I'm different than most people. I don't deal in cults of personality. I think one set of rules should apply to all presidents, whether you vote for them, like them, or hate them. That's how I feel. But the problem is, on the other side, the press whiffs so often on these stories about Trump that it is hard to take them seriously because the press just seems to be scandal hopping. You know how people doctor shop until they get the one that's going to give them the pills? The press, to me, seems just to be scandal hopping until they find one that they hope lands back into Watergate land and actually sticks. So, with the way that they've done the Russian collusion, and Mueller is definitely going to tell you that happened, and then they whiffed on that. Kavanaugh the first time, Kavanaugh round 2 last week. The press has become so bad. I think it's almost Trump is like the Dennis Rodman of presidents. He gets in their heads. They're the opposition. The press is the opposition, and Trump gets in their heads, and he has played them so much that they themselves have acted like fools trying to get him out of emotion so many times. Both sides have no credibility with me. The press, who appear to be scandal hopping, looking for something to take the president down, and the president, who labels everything fake news. If this is truly fake news, as Trump says, that means nothing like this at all, even in the least bit, ever happened. It's not fake news if 85% of it happened, but 15% didn't. So I want the normal rules to apply to this president as to any president, but both sides have lost credibility with me. And then you throw in Congress and Schiff, and that's kind of over on the same side as the reportage, which has completely gone down the drain. So let this play out slowly, and we'll find out. But I do believe that if the Inspector General did say this was of a certain level, and then the rules are supposed to trip it over so that the Congress oversight committees are supposed to find out, I think that should happen under Obama, Bush, Clinton, Trump. Please get out of this idea of whatever this guy wants. I don't play the cult of personality thing. I think the same rules should apply to every president, no matter what you think of that president. But I'm not trusting the Fourth Estate to enforce those rules because they do nothing but continually whiff on stories like this about the president. So let it play out slowly.
Well, it created this 30-minute exchange last night that I happened to tune in just in time for between...
And you have all 30 minutes for us.
Yes, I have all 30 minutes waiting to go between Rudy Giuliani and CNN's Chris Cuomo. And, I mean, they just...
Yeah. This is a pretty long clip. Do we have time or should we go away? That music tells me... No, this is fascinating because Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden become mixed up in all of this because most people speculate that it was something to do with Ukraine and the president.
Warning! Do not chug milk before listening because you will laugh out loud.
Milk was a bad choice.
Eric and the Doctrinaires, mornings at 9. Mark Aram, evenings at 6 on 95.5 WSB.
All right, do we have enough time here to go over this Giuliani and his dental plates? Got into a skirmish with Chris Cuomo. Was this on CNN?
This is at 9 o'clock last night.
Bribery scheme, not unlike what he did in China.
Rudy,
you explain to me how the kid got $1.5 billion from China.
I have no problem with you launching allegations, but just be careful about what you say. I asked you, did you ask Ukraine to look at Joe Biden? You said no. Then you went on to say that you did.
No, I didn't say that. What I said was this. I asked them to investigate the allegations that relate to the false charges against the President of the United States. Those allegations tangentially involve Biden.
So your answer should have been yes.
Let me finish, Chris. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
And don't try to interrupt because you don't like the answer.
I don't like evasiveness.
And you don't like, and you want to distort what I'm saying.
I don't want to distort.
You're totally biased.
I'm not biased.
You are,
Why
Chris.
would I have you on if I were biased, knowing that we're going to have this kind of conversation?
Because it is sad to watch what happened to you. It's sad.
Sad to watch what happened to me. I'm a sellout.
You are a sellout.
You are telling me that I'm a sellout.
These are crimes of major proportions. And because they're Democrats, you won't cover it.
Now, I absolutely get what Giuliani is going for here because I woke up this morning and I saw that the left, you know, when you go to the internet, it's the left. To the left, it's just that Giuliani said that he didn't do something and then 20 seconds later says that he did, which may or may not be a story. But the underlying thing is, how did Hunter Biden get this money out of Ukraine? And Joe Biden has bragged publicly about going over there as vice president, putting pressure on Ukraine, and getting the prosecutor that was looking into allegations against his son fired. That seems like a pretty big story, right, Rudy Giuliani?
It's right. It's exactly what I said. You're a sellout, Eric.
I'm not a sellout.
You're a sellout.
Why would I have you
You're
here
a sellout.
if I thought
You're a
that y'all
sellout.
Name the band, Jared.
I can't.
Led Zeppelin.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's a classic.
Well, I don't know if it's one of their classics. The band's a classic.
For sure.
Some call this the first Robert Plant solo album.
It's a little bit, but it's a great album.
It is.
It is a little bit like I think Jimmy Page was deep into the heroin at the time. They brought him in from time to time. It was Into the Outdoor.
Yeah.
Excellent album. All right, you have some open mics. I see that on deck we have WSB Sports Director Jay Black. So I'm guessing there must be some kind of big game coming up this weekend. But first, a couple of open mics.
Well, the Van Haessler laughing got me to turn away from your station. Well, the Van Haessler laughing.
He doesn't like the laughing, huh? You know?
I like the Van Haessler laughing.
Excuse me, sir?
The Van Haessler laughing.
Laughing. You don't like laughing. You don't think it's a time.
Unless you think the original Pfizer warning is funny.
Then you wouldn't.
Well, the Van Haessler laughing.
I guess where you're coming from, sir, dear listener, is that these times that we live in, this is no laughing matter.
No laughing matter when the mainstream media is trying to overthrow our dear leader.
Well, Van Haessler, laugh in.
So you are offended that in such times this show would be humorous.
Why didn't you say, sock it to me?
Well, Van Haessler, laugh in.
Buddy, do you need like an inhaler or something?
Yeah, is everything all right with you over there?
I'm exasperated because of this comedy show that just taking everything away when we should be talking about important things like Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau dressing up as an Indian.
Well, Van Haessler, laugh in.
Yeah, we should cut all commentary.
Yeah, and
just be news, weather, traffic. News, weather, traffic. News, weather, traffic.
No, I want to hear stuff I want to hear.
Yeah,
sorry.
The original Pfizer horn.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico?
Yeah, no, he's not interested in that.
No, well, nobody is.
They had it coming.
Wait, we can't laugh at that.
Oh.
These times are
Let's just go. Anytime we want to laugh, just go,
Okay. Like that lady when Deblasio told her he's dropping out of the presidency. Right.
Getting out there, being able to hear people's concerns, address them with new ideas has been an extraordinary experience. But I have to tell you at the same time, I feel like I've contributed all I can to this primary election. And it's clearly not my time, so I'm going to end my presidential campaign.
Well, that's all he got from MSNBC. All right, De Blasio. Okay. On to the next one. We have more open mics.
Okay, you guys are tripping me out. Either I'm having major deja vu, or this is a replay for the Eric Von Haessler show. Man, my brain hurts right now. What, you guys have talked about all this stuff already before, I swear. Either that or I'm just crazy and I had a dream about some weird stuff and a prophecy for the future. Please tell me I'm wrong.
I'm sorry, I can't. Yesterday's show was live, and we never talked about any of that stuff before. So obviously, you're a dreaming Nostradamus. I say embrace it.
Remember yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Remember when I was here and we were talking about all those things we've never talked about before?
I was here, and I said that thing I hadn't said.
Before, ever.
Never.
And we're told by the management never to say again. So, if you missed yesterday, you're never going to hear it again.
It was a one-off.
That's on you. Actually, the reason I took yesterday off is that
Wife's out of
I
town.
was striking. Because I knew there was going to be a climate strike today, and I was striking against the climate strike, and I was striking for the felling of more trees. Because you know that I cannot stand trees. Have we gotten into this? I really, really find them to be obnoxious and arrogant, and I think we should cut more of them down.
Oh, look at me. I'm so tall. I'm so old.
I've been around for 100 years.
Look at my rings. Ooh.
Call the Today Show. No one else cares.
So many animals and bugs live in me. I'm such a part of the ecosystem.
That's another thing. I find them to be disgusting. They're full of ants and disgusting.
They are.
Absolutely. Kill them all.
Their roots ruin sidewalks.
When it comes to the trees and the environment, you know what I say? Kill them all. Let God sort them out. You have one more?
One more open mic for you.
My coworkers are ready for this Georgia Notre Dame game to be over so that I'll quit boycotting my Irish Spring soap.
Oh, that brings us to WSB Sports Director Jay Black.
One man to beat. He cuts behind him. 20. He's going to go. 5. Touchdown.
Georgia Bulldogs and sports with Jay Black.
First of all, Jay.
Yes.
Are you with me on the trees? Just way, at the very least, overrated. At the most,
well, they get in the way of my golf ball. So that's a problem.
Yeah, that's right. So get them out of the way.
Get them out of the way.
Get them out of the way. Whenever I fly over this country, I look down and think, man, we have way too many trees.
Too many.
How many people have died because of trees? I nearly died because of a tree once.
Yeah.
I was 10 years old. Have I told you my near-death experience with a tree?
No.
I was 10 years old, and we were playing. Will you stop with the MSNBC? This is more important than de Blasio pulling out of the race. I was 10 years old, and we were playing football in a lot, and I was going for a pass. And let me tell you, that was going to be a big one. That was going to be a big pass. I had it. It was in my sights. And I caught the pass. And the moment that I caught the pass, I cannot tell you the nanosecond that happened between me looking at the quarterback, catching the pass, and turning and running into a tree at full speed and being knocked out for the first time in my life. underneath that tree.
Did you hold
Now,
on to the ball?
Thank you, Jay Black, for asking the most important question. The answer is, I don't know. I don't remember. I was out. All right, you're here because my understanding is that we have a very big football game happening in this area over the weekend. Is that true, Jay
Yes,
Black?
I'm sorry to interrupt laughing here, but
Yeah.
we have serious football to discuss.
Well, the Van Haessler laughing.
I really have no idea how I can add to that, but we'll try.
Well, Jay, you're pretty damn good. My understanding is you're so prepared for this Fighting Irish weekend in Athens that
Yes.
you have actually put together a couple of montages for our show.
I have. In fact, we'll start with Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly on why he is very concerned about playing the Georgia Bulldogs.
No perceived weaknesses in this group. It's all true. It's all true. Very, very good defense. It's just a very balanced offense that can run it, can throw it. Great kicker, punter, have all the tools. So we'll try to muster together 22 guys, get them on a plane, go down to Athens, and see what we can do.
You know, what he should say is, let's face it, we're not Alabama or Clemson, so we probably don't have a chance in this game.
Just an all-shucks Irishman planning to come down here and just enjoy our southern environment, and maybe we'll play a football game.
Yeah, that's right. It's weird. Do we have a lot of Notre Dame fans in town, coming into town? Can we get a number on this? Do we know how many are coming?
They have predicted about 140,000 people will be in Athens tomorrow. The stadium holds 93 plus, so there's going to be a lot of people floating around with not much to do. I have heard that there will be a lot of Notre Dame folks coming down. They are, you think Notre Dame, the cathedral of college football, right?
Yeah.
But the Notre Dame fans I've talked to are really excited to, they see this as a chance to taste the best way football is done now, which is in the South.
I think they're kind of full of themselves since the other Notre Dame burnt down. They're kind of the only Notre Dame
Notre
that's
Dame. That's
standing.
different. That's totally
different. They actually remain standing. Do you have another montage for us?
Yes. Not Truthful Kirby Smart is here to talk about Notre Dame quarterback Ian Book.
He's a dual threat guy that doesn't have to be a dual threat guy. He has a lot of explosive plays where he scrambles to throw and scrambles to run. He's not a guy that just does one.
He's Houdini. He can make you miss. He can disappear. He can go up in the line, go around the line, outrun guys.
Now, he's a little better than most that have come through so far, but you may be overrating him just a tad, Lion Kirby Smart.
Well, he's out there. He's like a magician, and
You said he's 9 feet tall. He's not 9 feet tall.
He's 9.5 feet tall. He's got sleight of hand. Watch him pull a football
I don't think you really
out of
need it
his
this week.
helmet.
I think people just want to beat Notre Dame, the program. I don't think you have to get your guys all worked up with fantasies. I mean,
what they
they're
need to
decent.
do is they're really fighting a bunch of wizards, and these guys have magical powers, and they you know what they can do? They can cloak themselves when they have the ball.
Drunken Irish fan is still in town.
Oh, you darn right I am. Where was I going to go? The big game is tomorrow. By the way, I'll be riding up with Jay Black.
So are you enjoying Athens, Georgia, and all of our bars?
Oh, Athens, Georgia, with all of its bars. Why are they closing at 1 a.m.? It's a college town. They should be open 24/7. Oh, by the way, Athens, you got REM, do ya?
Yes.
Oh, where have they been? We've got you too, still touring, making albums and whatnot. Bono's a lead singer who don't walk around like a stinky prospector.
You're saying that U2's a good Irish band.
Michael Stipe, boy, why don't you shave that beard? Who do you think you are, David Letterman?
All right, you don't need to be coming in making fun of all of our local heroes, drunken Irish
Oh, the
fan.
B-52s talk about the plane no one flies no more.
This guy's
Man,
on fire.
getting a little personal, aren't we? I thought this was supposed to be a nice respect. When we went to Notre Dame, they were respectful for us. Now they come down to our hometown and talk trash about our music.
Oh, you mean the one hotel in South Bend that's safe to sleep in?
That's true.
Who's your mayor over there in South Bend?
Oh, South Bend, we've got Mayor Pete Buttigieg. There's a pot of gold at the end of his rainbow.
Now, we have we have to get to the real truth here, which is on paper, no doubt, Georgia should beat Notre Dame. I think that there's a 14. Yeah, and I said like a week ago, I think 2 touchdowns. This is what should happen. In reality, this is the first test of the year, and it's a pretty big one from a program not all that great right now. Where are they ranked? They were
They are seventh. They are still seventh.
Okay, so they're 7th. They're top 10 ranked. In reality, the team does have to be ready because they have played cup cupcakes up to this point, and that's going to be the challenge for Kirby Smart, right? Is this, okay, we got now the preseason's over, and you got to be ready for what is essentially game one.
Georgia has looked the part of the number 3 team in the country as much as you can take away from playing Cupcake City. But that's the question now is, okay, these guys look good against that, but what do we really have? But Notre Dame didn't look all that great against their Cupcake City either. You can't take a lot from it, but I didn't see anything there that really disturbs me about Notre Dame. There are a couple of places where they can cause the Dogs some problems. They've got an experienced secondary going against Georgia's young wide receivers. They do have a good pass rush. Georgia's terrific offensive line is a little banged up. But they've struggled to stop the run, and Georgia's offensive line is about 50 pounds heavier than Notre Dame's defensive front. So if they can't stop Georgia's run, it will be a rout.
Now, if this turns out to be, it's worked out okay, these 2 games in a couple of years, is this something they're thinking about doing again in the future, every few years or so?
I talked to UG Athletic Director Greg McGarity. He said that they would certainly be open to having the discussions. They would like to do this again, but the problem is Georgia's schedule is kind of loaded up from now until the mid-2030s.
Oh, wow.
So it's, unless something
We're
changes.
starting to get into my death range.
Exactly.
There, so I don't know that I can plan for those games.
None of us are going to be alive maybe the next time these 2 teams play.
What are other teams that we haven't played in forever, or it'd be fun to get here? Or have we ever had USC in Athens? Or
not that I'm aware of. We have played USC, but I think we went out there. Michigan, I know would be a marquee game. Nebraska, we played in a couple of bowl games, but they haven't come to Athens.
Ohio State would be a huge one, too.
Ohio State. So, they're trying to get some. There was actually a scheduled book with Ohio State, but it fell apart.
Very quickly, do you think there's more pressure on teams like Alabama and Georgia to stop playing so many cupcake games? I know they can't do anything about it for 3 or 4 years because their schedules are kind of set, but is there any schedule? Because right now, Nick Saban, sorry I'm talking through the music, but Nick Saban got mad that some students left a blowout game a couple of weeks ago, and he had a recruit there, and the recruit said it'd be nice if the students had stuck around. But you know what? In this day and age,
don't schedule back-to-back cupcakes.
Yeah, kids want entertainment, right?
Yes.
And so there's got to be a little pressure for all of these SEC teams to, put something a little stronger early in the schedule.
Yeah, the playoff will make sure that kind of goes away as much as it can.
Yep. All right, you want to stick around in a few minutes, just after the top of the hour. I am going to call the next name in our free gas giveaway. So stick around for that. You were going to go away there for a moment, Jay Black, but I noticed something. You've lost 25 pounds? 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Jay Black. Yeah, listen to that. Autumn Fisher suddenly very interested in WSB Sports Director Jay Black. Now, how are you doing? I've lost myself. I've lost about 25 pounds. How are you doing?
Stop being an idiot.
Oh, well, that's
he's taking the Von Haessler advice.
Yeah, I like it. You basically just stop eating for this sort of comfort that doesn't really add up. It doesn't add up to anything.
When you eat 6 meals and don't go play golf, then you get big.
Started doing a lot of meth.
Well, that's the quicker way to do it.
I want to point out it's fake Jay Black over there.
Yeah, fake Jay Black does a lot of meth. I don't eat very much. But that's okay because I can still watch sports like a lot.
And for a week. Get all your stuff in there, right? Well, good, man. Well, we're losing weight together.
Yes, indeed.
And you're getting ready for the next season of Win a Date with Jay Black right here on the Von Haessler Doctrine.
Exactly.
Ladies, we're going to have something for you to date. Ladies and all, it's 2019. We can't keep this gender specific. You understand that?
I understand.
Anybody can win a date with Jay Black. All right. What are you doing with your...
We got to get the tailgate time for the show.
Oh, yes. When does the show start this weekend?
Pregame coverage all day tomorrow. Me, Dave Baker, Belinda Skelton. Official tailgate show starts at 4, kickoff at 8:10 here on the home of the Dogs.
All right, go Dogs. Hour 2 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins now with 3 pieces of good news. Number 1, it is a 10 on the Mellish meter.
Woo.
Don't worry about that whole drought talk. For today, it's a 10 on the Mellish meter. Number 2, Justin Kenny from Conyers just won $600 in free gas.
All right.
From 95.5 WSB. That's my favorite radio station. You can win too. Register at WSBradio.com or on the WSB Radio app, and then listen at 4 o'clock today to the other white Eric Erickson. And if he calls your name, you'll have 9 minutes and 55 seconds to call back and claim your $500 in free gas. And number 3, even though we've moved it around on the schedule a little bit, it's Friday, and that means Greg Russ.
He's a misanthrope, he has a dark heart, and he needs a good psychiatrist.
New York.
It's Greg Russ with stories from Studio B1.
Now, in reality, I was thinking of changing that opening because Greg has been going to therapy for a couple of years, and for a good long time we thought, that really doesn't describe Greg anymore. But in the last couple of weeks, he's really gone off the rails again. So
yeah,
I
but
think
that's still not describing me.
No, right.
The heart isn't dark. The heart is glowing.
The heart is glowing, but
it's
may be
radioactive right now.
It may be delusional. But what did you say again? You believe that we are entering the golden age of Greg, I believe.
It is. This is going to be the golden age of Greg. Some of the best work you've ever seen creatively is going to come out of me. Yeah. And like I said before, I'm not saying it's not going to be driven by insanity. It may very well be, but the work will be good.
Okay, a golden age is a golden age.
Yeah, some people like Wilco when the guy's on heroin.
Yeah, and some people don't, right?
Right,
I mean, it's just, who cares? If you get good songs, hey, the guy's got to go to drug rehab. That's not my problem. I just get to listen to good albums. That's where we are with Greg. All right, Greg, what do you got from Studio B1?
Well, I've got some news about your fair city of Atlanta.
Oh, my fair city, where you grew up.
It is one of the most surveilled places in the world. It's the most surveilled city in the U.S., and it cracks the top 10 in the world. Now, they gauge this by its account of the number of closed-circuit television cameras owned by government and private sources compared to the city's population. And Atlanta is 15.56 cameras per 1,000 restaurant.
And that puts it
residents,
not restrooms, because that would be a different. I think that's Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Yeah, I think that's Amsterdam.
That's one of my creative projects that's coming up in the golden age of Greg. But surprise!
Just got ahead of yourself. Okay, this is not counting like people's nanny cams and stuff like this. This is either private industry or public. And you being surveilled everywhere you go. Now, this is the weird thing, and I think that other libertarians would maybe say, Von Haessler, you are a fraud. You call yourself a libertarian. These kind of stories do not really bother me that much because I feel like it means, well, then they rob a bank or something, or somebody gets robbed on the street. There's a better chance that you're actually going to have some footage of it going down. Am I wrong, Greg? Russ? We're nowhere close to cities like London. But I feel like it means you're kind of in a safer city. I should be all scared about, being, some sort of deep fake that looks like me robbing somebody and then I go to prison. But I can't be bothered with all that.
Sometimes I wonder how true this is. Maybe it's just put out there into the press to scare people, like those obviously fake security cameras that some stores have. They're big and boxy and probably
20 years old.
Made of cardboard.
And there's one red flashing light. Oh no, it's lighting up. It means it's real.
But isn't that enough? I will tell you something. I have come to believe that for all the money that can be spent on home security, I have come to believe, where the thing is chipped off and they silently call the cops and everything happens. I believe that still all you need is just a really loud alarm that freaks people out. How many people are going to stay inside the house and continue to do their robbing if there's just like wah, 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 everywhere?
It doesn't work with cars, though. How many times have you walked past a car alarm going off and you don't even look at the thing?
Because so many go off all the time. Now, if everybody adopted my philosophy, yes, you get used to houses, alarms going off, but that's still not something that we're used to. That's still a big deal. And also, I would throw in sort of strobe lights at the same time. And maybe some staging goes on, a little dry ice, strobe lights, big noise.
Kisses dropping out from the ceiling.
Who is going to stick around and rob your candlesticks? I don't think anybody
I would.
You would.
If you're the one who sticks around in that situation, you could just hide behind that. Do you really think if I were robbing this house, I would stick around through all of that?
Yeah.
You're crazy.
I say you're too clever by half. And I'll tell you something. I've never really known what that means. But I say it. Does anybody know what that really... He was too clever by half. I know what it means. It means you were being too clever. But I don't know why the by half.
Is it just by like half a
I don't know. You're asking me to answer a question I just told you. I don't know what it means. He's too clever by half, which means he almost pulled it off, but was just a bit too clever and was found out. But I don't know why it's the by half.
Well, who's manning the etymology desk.
Well, we have all of our minds are on it right now. You know, when we're not taking donations for NPR, my staff is looking up words and phrases to find out where they started and what the hell they mean.
The words and phrases desk.
Yes, the words and phrase. The word
$16,000 a year that job pays.
Yeah, it's not a bad. It's a good entry level job, I think. What's next from Studio B1?
Okay, wait, I have an answer for you.
Okay, sorry. Hold on, 1 second. You'll have to put the Golden Age of Greg on hold just on pause, not on hold. Yes.
Okay, so it says Sorry. Okay.
Oh, wait, did you say you
Sorry,
were ready?
I'm just reading it.
Okay, well, perhaps you should have.
Okay. It started as a backhanded compliment meant to imply that they are only half clever.
Oh, okay. Too clever by half.
It's like the opposite of that, right?
That's a weird. I
don't know.
You know?
All right,
No,
I'm
I think
sorry.
I think yeah, you really jumped in there.
Hey, you get what you pay for. That's what I say, Eric. You got to up that salary.
Greg, I'm sorry.
$16,000. You're right. I got $16,000 worth there. All right, what do you got?
People are getting fillers and Botox to rid themselves of resting, and Jared told me I need to say bee face.
Yeah, well,
because this is a family station.
Well, you don't want to say resting bitch face, but I mean, I can say
Eric,
that.
you just said it.
I can say that because I'm the host, but you got to say resting bee face.
It was a big thing before the segment, Jared. You got to say bee face. You can't say the word.
Well, he's looking out for us. He's looking out for us. He wants us to stay on the air. He doesn't really have anything else he can do for a living and make money.
I have no skills otherwise.
That's right. Yeah, neither do I.
I have to protect the 95.5 WSB Shield.
That's right. We're in the same boat. I have no other skills as well. Some question this one. So this is, by the way, the resting bee face is a thing that will ruin a conversation with me. Usually what happens is Jared says, I have a friend who's going to come sit in. He loves the show. And the friend does love the show, but the friend brings the girlfriend who has never heard of the show. And so for an hour and a half, I sit and look at resting bee face while I'm doing the best damn radio in America. And there's a gap there, and it bothers me. So
yeah, it looks like she smells something bad.
Yeah, she's just like there's nothing here that I can Instagram. I can't relate to it. I just want to go do whatever young people with nothing in their brains.
I wish I was
all.
brunching right now.
Yeah, brunching, something where she can go and.
Yeah, or you get the
I'd rather be shopping. That's what her resting bee face said to me. I'd rather be shopping.
You get the lesson afterward. I went to the Fox Sports Greensboro, and I'm like, did you now?
And you want
this is Atlanta.
What I want to do is I want to say to the person, I'll almost break the whole show, and I will say, I would like for you to be shopping as well. Can we work this out? Because I'm not enjoying you and your resting bee face. So I think surgery is a little bit too much. So some people can't help it then. Maybe I'm being too hard on this.
It's not surgery, it's injectables.
Injectables, but I mean, what you're saying is that...
you're propping it up. It's like a stilt.
Right, what I'm saying is that some people can't help it. They don't want to have the resting bee face.
No, and that's why they're going. And
what causes it?
Well, it's having a particular form of face that...
Yeah, it's hereditary.
Looks like it makes you look like a bitch.
My grandmother was a bitch. My mom...
It's in the family. I'm going to have to get some sort of alteration done.
Well, some people are shunning the family at this point, and they just want to look more approachable.
So what would you have? A resting A face, I guess, would be the... You give me a resting A face, please. So why is it difficult to... You don't have to smile. It's just a matter of not looking... I got an idea. Get rid of the injectables and start reading a book and things. Get curious about the world, and your face will show interest and curiosity, and then that will... As opposed to the whole, I'm 22 and I'm really hot.
Saying.
Why do I have to sit here through this?
I understand it, but smiling is like flexing a muscle. It's not the natural state. So it's like walking around with dumbbells in your arms constantly, flexing your biceps.
Sure.
So, going around smiling all the time, it's work.
I don't think people should be smiling all the time. That looks sinister as well. I don't want that. But just a pleasant resting face to me has nothing to do with injectables. What's going on in your brain? If you're sitting there thinking, I'm 23, I'm hot, and for an hour I haven't been able to use my body against men, and I'm not interested unless I'm doing that.
What you're talking about is something different. These people are thinking pleasant thoughts, but they can't help
I understand.
Yeah, they just look like
Well, no, I say that I dispute that.
You think it comes from inside.
I think it comes from inside. I think that your resting face, if you are a curious person person who is interested in things, that will show on your face. But if you're easily made bored, unless guys are fawning all over you and giving you things, then you're going to have the resting bitch face.
I feel like you're projecting a lot on
It
me.
belies the interior.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Let me ask you
I'm
this.
not, by the way, you know that I love women. I'm not one of those guys. I love women. I do not understand
Tell me
men.
I love them so much, I need to preface it.
No, I'm telling you, as somebody who's been in radio for a while, let me tell you, I've banged up against a bunch of guys who I could tell do not like women, have a deep rooted thing that started a long time ago. I'm not one of. I'm sorry, Tim. Didn't mean to-
Mom.
I'm not one of those people. I find women to be pleasant, but not until they're about 30. The 22-year-old who's really hot, they have nothing to offer me.
Why
so
is this
just stay away
applying to
from me.
just women, though? Men can have this face also.
Nobody cares if men have a resting bee face. Who cares? He's just a guy. Maybe he's thinking about
Captains of industry,
It's
those
called
guys.
it's called pensive. He's being pensive.
Yes. He's got a lot weighing on him.
That's
It's
right.
his job to
That's right.
manage the household and
Yeah, that's
carry
right.
all the weight.
She's thinking about shopping and how she'd rather be there. Isn't that
And he's
the way-
trying to solve problems.
Yeah, he's trying to solve.
man.
Send your cards and letters to Pete
Very
Spriggs.
triggering.
Pete Spriggs, care of WSB Radio. You know, Greg, I believe you're becoming a beloved member of the Doctrinaires.
I already was.
No, I know. I think even more so.
It's just people are misunderstood. They don't get me. It takes a while.
Well, let's get. Do we have an open mic?
Yes, this is from the WSB Radio app.
I love Greg Russ as much as most people, but God, dude, you're exhausting.
Why'd you set me up like that? You think a 180's funny?
Yeah, no, you know what? No, I think people are calling in about you, and of course,
There's nothing.
First of all, of
Hold
course,
on, what is exhausting? This is where I'm talking about misunderstood. What's exhausting?
well, there's a lot. You bring
Because
a
I
lot
make
to
you
the-
look at the world because as it really is.
Well,
I can't handle that. No, I'm living in my lie. I've got my lie going
Hold
on. Don't break it.
Gregory Russ. I believe the thing started. He said he was a big fan.
I love Greg Russ as much as most people.
By the way, this is
But
most.
I love
no,
women. I love women, but
No, most people, most people who love Greg Russ, I think, feel the same way. There's a lot. You bring a lot to the table. There's a lot of
That's a good thing.
neuroses involved here. There's thinking about thinking. I think people think that you do that, and that's exhausting. No,
That's
you
true.
recognize the fine line between brilliance and neuroses.
just because I, got in a big fight once because I told my girlfriend I'd take her out for dinner, and then some principle came into play. I didn't like the shrimp was $8 more than the chicken, and I refused to buy it for her.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
rule that I'd set forth, and
But ruined an evening out because you weren't. Now you didn't really care about the $8. You're not cheap. It had
No, I
something
thought
to do
about
with-
the man sitting in the back office, like,
The shrimp is cheaper, but I'll make it more expensive on the menu.
yeah, and you're gonna pay for it.
I love Greg Russ as much as most people, but God, dude, you're exhausting.
That's what every girlfriend has walked away thinking. They still, none of them walk away hating Greg Russ. Well, maybe a couple, but most of them walk away still loving Greg Russ. But they feel the same way. It's too much every day.
It's quite often. Yeah, I still like him, but I'd never date him again. That comes up.
Were you not featured on that now defunct website, don'tdateemgirl.com?
Yeah, but that was baseless. There were probably many reasons to feature me on there, but the ones that were put forth, they were lies.
That was the one time that Greg actually found a girl that was as crazy as he was. That one went up in smoke in a big way. But that music tells me we're done.
Yeah.
For now, Gregory. I always put you on the spot and ask you if you're going to join us on the podcast, but I don't.
I got a big video delivery I got to go take care
All
of,
right,
so
you go
I'll be
deliver that
around.
video. We'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Okay, bye.
I don't know what it is. It's because it's such a beautiful day out there. I hear it's a 10 on the Mellish meter. But people are they're very open. They're using the open mic. They want to let their favorite radio host, me, know what's on their mind. You got more open mic there?
So, Eric, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? Couldn't believe that, man.
Was he listening to this show?
Was that yesterday's?
Was it yesterday's? Did we do something on yesterday's show?
I don't think so.
Maybe he's listening to another show, and well, it's good to have you here. It's good to have you here.
Well, with that laugh there, I mean, he's going to make the other guy upset.
Who is it? Oh, yeah, we too much
The
laughing.
other Wheezy?
Yeah.
Well, the Van Haessler laughing got me to turn away from your station.
The answer is 3.
3?
That's how many licks it takes. 3.
3?
Well,
if
yeah.
you're a cow or a horse, maybe.
No,
human
Or an
being.
owl.
Or an owl.
3.
1, 2, 3.
All right, I'm confused. Let's do this.
Hi, it's Paul Stanley, and this is Paul Stanley Presents, the latest in music and entertainment news, only on the Von Haessler Doctrine.
I forgot we do this. All right, so Paul Stanley.
He's right, it's only 3. The owl in the commercial licks it twice and then eats it.
Okay, all right, but I don't think any human being ever got there with 3. But I'm not going to
I
argue.
have. I got there with 1.
You're a rock star. Different rules
You don't
apply.
want to know how many things I put in my mouth.
No, I do not, and I'll just wait for the book later on. But before the book, Paul Stanley on what KISS says and really is standing behind the idea that this is their absolute final farewell tour that they're on. And then when it's over, Paul Stanley from KISS would like to get into entertainment news. So
That's right. I'd like to have a show on this station or
I don't know whether I can get you a
podcast.
I never promised that you'd be on this station. I simply said, why don't you get your feet wet a little bit? And when you have the time, come on in and do
My
a little
feet have been wet for a long time.
more of your rock star stories that I don't need to know here. This thing you have to understand, Paul Stanley of KISS.
Yes.
This is we're FCC regulated.
What's that?
We have to be family friends of Federal Communications.
Family coalition of crazy people or something like that. Let's rock and
that
roll.
kind of attitude.
It's Friday. Woo!
It's not going to do you well in the entertainment news biz. You gotta.
I'll
you gotta-
keep it clean.
You got to toe the line a little bit. All right. What is your entertainment report?
Hey guys, the Beltline Lantern Parade turns 10. Happy birthday to the lanterns.
I think you mean lanterns.
I said lanterns. The
So
things
it's the-
that, you use gas or whatever and they light up.
Yeah, Lantern Parade. Now, can I say this, Paul Stanley?
You can say whatever you like. It's your show.
That's correct. Thank you. I like that. I'm like the Gene, right? You defer to Gene and KISS.
I guess so.
You defer to me here.
You don't have a tongue that big.
No. Well, you haven't seen me backstage. This is the 10th anniversary of the Lantern Parade on the Beltline. I never heard of it before. Jared Yamamoto, you are a millennial in the city.
How do you not know?
Are you familiar with the
Absolutely.
What do
I
you
did
call
it a couple
again?
years ago.
What do you call it?
It's the Lantern Parade.
The Lantern Parade.
Yeah, I used to do it, but
do you still have lanterns ready and available should you need to be part of the Lantern Parade?
not anymore. Unfortunately, the Imagine Music Festival has
Yeah.
moved its weekend to this weekend, so
And-
now it's a conflict. I'm always the
as we know, Molly always trumps Lantern.
Molly
I'm sorry.
Molly
EDM.
is my friend.
I'm sorry, EDM. EDM trumps Lantern.
This is really going to hurt the Lantern Festival.
Yeah, without Jared and Christina and all of Jared's socialist friends, what good is that Lantern Festival? Now, do you walk the
Were
entire...
these lanterns locally sourced?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question, Jared.
People make them themselves. Have you never not been
Where did
to
you
it?
buy? Where did you make the materials yourself?
Hold on. Did you just ask me if I've never not been
Have
to
you
it?
never not been to the Lantern Parade? It's great. Let me tell you guys, I went last year for the 9th annual one.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because you show up down there, right? And you have your lantern. And
Your lantern.
You hold it up or whatever, and you get a whole bunch of people with other lanterns, and then you can't move. You can't move for 2 hours, and you're just walking along, bumping into people, and then you got the guy that didn't know about the Lantern Parade, and he's on his bike with
Yeah.
his dog, and he just wants to be on the belt line.
You ever put on the fireman helmet for the...
Oh, you know it. I wear the fireman helmet and a little yellow tank top where you can see it's really low cut and you can see all my curly hairs on my chest.
Yeah.
It's very sexy.
It ain't Paul Stanley unless I can see
but
the
it's
curly
sexy.
hairs.
And I got a little cup of Folgers with me or whatever the one I did, Maxwell House.
And you were asking people if they're ready to rock.
Are you ready to rock at the Lantern Parade?
Sure.
How long, if you walk the whole Beltline, does it just end somewhere? Does it go
right
in
now,
a
yeah,
circle?
it's not complete yet,
more
but
of an amble.
it'll be very complete soon.
Is it an
Doesn't
amble?
it end in Piedmont? I thought
Everything
it
ends
started
there.
somewhere on the Beltline and then ended in
It's
I
Piedmont.
know.
just-
Also, Sheriff Mann's career ended there. I know that.
No, it doesn't end at Piedmont Park, but you could take your lanterns to Piedmont if you like.
You can go beyond Piedmont Park now, and it used to end right at Krog Street Market,
Yeah.
but now it goes beyond that, and
So,
they're starting to build up all that
How
area around there.
insufferable are the lantern holders for the lantern? So you just walk around with lanterns in your
It's
hand.
really cool. It's dark out. It's so pretty.
It looks
There's
pretty?
lots of really cool. Yeah, you would
Lots of
actually,
room.
Eric.
I
Hold
would
on
like
a second,
it.
Eric.
I would like
you
it.
would like
because
it.
you know that I like colors
like
and
the
light.
colors.
Yeah, I'm very
Let's go
taken
together.
Let's go together, me and you. Come on,
All
jump
right.
on a plane. Get down here.
I'm packing
either
my
that
bags.
or you know what? I'm a very busy man. I'm going to pencil you in for the 11th annual Lantern Parade, and you make sure that you can
I'll
do
start
it.
walking.
Okay, you start walking. You'll be here by next year.
It is a good time if you find a good spot on the Beltline
Yeah.
where you can sit down, maybe grab a couple adult beverages.
How is it a lantern
Because
parade
you can't
if I'm
do anything
sitting
without
down?
little beverages.
Well, because you can
What?
watch.
You can watch other people in the parade?
Yeah.
Well, why
That's
would
why
you have to have a lantern?
Well, you don't, but
I
if
mean,
you
if I'm
had one,
watching
you
a
could.
parade, I don't sit there with a float.
What are you, Joe
Right? You're
Biden?
either in the parade or you're not in the parade.
Some-
Well, you can do either or. You
Some
can be in
people
the parade
can't
or not.
walk.
Well, then they can roll through the parade, right? That's allowed, right?
You
put on
could
the-
rock and roll through that parade if you have your
Absolutely.
lantern.
As long as
All
you have
night?
a lantern.
Well, yeah, and party all day the next day.
Okay.
So, what is your Halloween costume going to be, Eric?
Why are you asking me this question? I don't do Halloween costumes,
You
Paul
don't?
Stanley. We haven't known each other, Paul Stanley, long enough for you to know that I can't stand Halloween. As a child, I thought it was great, and I still think it's a great children's holiday, but I don't like it as an adult, and I don't really like being around other adults who really get into Halloween because I think they're hiding behind something. You know, they want to dress up and be something they're not, and I find that freaky. And then later in the evening at a Halloween party of adults, people get drunk and there's this weird smell. But when the alcohol and the makeup gets mixed
sweat.
together and the bad breath
It's
and the
sexy.
sweat, oh my God, I get disgusted.
I've been living that life for 45 years.
Yeah, it's really kind of
Sway
backstage.
makeup, chicks, beer.
I find it to be disgusting because
Little grass.
women will show up and they think they're sexy, but they forget their breath stinks.
Do you like my outfit? I'm a
no.
sexy crossing guard.
Your breath.
Well, listen.
What's the sexy?
The hot new sexy costume for the 2019 Halloween season
is
Mr. Rogers, sexy Mr. Rogers.
This is for girls?
Apparently, because I'm looking at a photo of a very sexy young lady.
Did we have to turn
I'm gonna
everything?
take off my cardigan.
Did we have to turn everything into pornography? The great Mr. Rogers.
It's not porno.
the
It's
purest-
sexy. Look, it's just
it's sexy.
That's not
it's,
porno.
It's
I'm gonna take off my shoes now, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna put on different shoes.
I like
I'm
that.
gonna
Now
feed
let's
the
go-
fish. Oh.
Let's go to the land of make believe,
What, were you 30?
where you can make believe I'm young, or closely related to you in age,
Yeah, and at the
it's
top
not
of the
creepy
charts.
that we're having sex.
That's right.
Let me look for your trolley.
You
Ding,
this-
here it comes.
This is what's going to happen here. Eventually, all things get sullied with the modern world.
Jared
The great
dressed up as
Mr. Rogers. What? You,
Oh, I'm
Mr. Rogers last
sexy.
year?
I'm sexy Tom Hanks from Castaway.
You're really skinny. What?
Ooh, I'm living on this island. I had to break my tooth out with an ice skate. It was so hot.
What's with the bloody soccer ball or whatever there? Volleyball.
Oh my God, this is my friend. His name's Wilson. Oh my God.
You can make anything sound sexy with that little girly
I'm
voice.
sexy
I'm not
Miss-
buying it.
I'm sexy Mr. McFeely.
Are you going to make a deposit? Yeah, I work at the bank. Hi. Are you going to make a deposit today? Oh, this wad of money is so big.
Right. Man gets taken off the radio. No one could figure out what was said that was bad. It was just through a voice, a kind of voice. We know they meant it to be bad.
I'd like to look through your vault.
Ooh, I'll give you the combination.
No, I just want to say I was way ahead of the trend.
No,
I
you,
did the
you
Mr.
were,
Rogers costume
You
last
were Mr.
year.
Rogers last year, but you weren't sexy Mr. Rogers.
No.
You were dressed up like Mr. Rogers.
Christina
This is-
begs to differ.
This is, well, he's sexy Jared.
I'm
every
going to
day.
be sexy Louise from Sesame Street.
So, but people have to see this picture. This is for women. It's kind of hot pants with a half shirt and the cardigan and this little tie.
And a tie.
Oh, who's at the door? It's Mr. McFeely.
All right.
You know, this is actually Fred Rogers' outfit that he wore when he wasn't on TV.
I didn't know that he had that kind of background.
He
No,
did. They didn't really
yeah.
find that in those documentaries.
I've heard stories about the guy who played Father Brady. on the Brady Bunch.
Mr.
But
Brady?
I don't think Mr.
He wasn't a priest.
No, not Father.
He was an architect.
I
Father
understand.
Brady.
I understand. Mr. Brady is what I meant.
Okay, Mr. Brady.
He used to be a priest.
He had his moments. When
Well, he
off
had
air.
3
Are you
kids.
stressed out?
Am I stressed out? Are you segging me to the next story?
I don't know.
You're
Is that
getting
what
good-
it's called?
You're getting good at this, Paul Stanley.
Moving it along?
Yeah, there you
Keeping
go.
the train rolling?
I'm always stressed out.
Well,
but I've
here's-
learned to deal with it in a way so that stress doesn't stress me out.
Well,
I just recognize it as stress.
The Eastern mystics created something called yoga.
Yeah.
And yoga is the mind and body and stretching, so
Yeah.
everything's working together in
Yeah.
one thing.
As long as you have the right pants.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the pants are really important.
Apparently, even going back to India, thousands of years ago, they said you couldn't do good yoga if you didn't spend $50 on your pants.
That's right.
That's the first step,
It's
right?
very important. Mine is snakeskin. And then, it's not funny.
It's not. It's
They're very comfortable. I know, I'm sorry the snakes had to die.
You have a stretchy
So if you're stressed out and you're stretching and everything, and these ancient mystics and this long-held tradition of mind and body, well, the millennials figured how to make it better.
Well, that's what they do with everything, Paul Stanley.
You
of
add a
course.
puppy. Puppy yoga is returning to the Atlanta Humane Society. So not only can you adopt a dog,
Yeah.
you can lay around with it on a mat and let it crawl all over your back.
So is that the idea? While you're playing, you're not doing puppy.
No, we're not stretching the
Inspired
puppies.
stretches.
No, we're not stretching
That's
the puppy.
important.
Yeah,
That's important
They're
to
limber.
know.
They're limber. They're
They
young.
don't need it.
No.
Yeah, they don't. You know why? Puppies don't have stress.
No.
Because they don't have
They're
abstract
puppies.
thought.
What's there to be stressed?
They don't worry.
stressed
They don't
about?
worry about anything.
They don't know that they're never going to be adopted.
That's right. They have no idea
No.
that bad things can happen.
They're very
just-
short time on this earth. All they care is helping millennials de-stress.
That's right. That's right. Why not you? Hey, that's a good point, Paul Stanley. These millennials are leaning on animals an awful lot to get rid of their stress. What kind of stress is it putting on the animals? Now, the animals, it's their job to comfort the human,
Right.
thereby, I would say, putting an element of stress into the animal life that wasn't there before the millennials.
Well, it's bad enough that they were brought into this world by a college kid, and they made him wear that silly kerchief and catch the frisbee. But then the guy met a girl that doesn't like dogs, and well, there they are at the Humane Society.
Stress.
Stress.
Get your daily dose of comic relief with Eric Von Haessler mornings at 9. Then shake off the daily stress
It's gonna be alright.
with Mark Aram weeknights at 6 on 95.5 WSB.
Why are you pointing to your Facebook?
We had a lot of people asking about that sexy Mr. Rogers outfit, so I posted it up on our Von Haessler Doctrine Facebook page.
So you
people
can
check it
see
out.
for yourselves.
Yeah.
You're not such a bad producer.
Look at that.
I
All
think
right.
that's what I'm going to wear.
Paul
got-
Stanley, what do you have next?
All right, so Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants Washington, D.C. to be a state.
Hey, Paul Stanley, you're supposed to be doing entertainment news. Stay in your lane.
okay.
Don't spread your wings so much. Stay in your lane.
How about this one? America's sick and tired of Simon Cowell.
Now you're back in your lane, Paul Stanley, where you belong.
America's Got Talent. It's fallen to its finale ratings. They were lower than NBC's MasterChef.
No, actually, that's not true. It's not true. They actually won the night,
Oh, they did.
but they had the lowest ratings ever for a
But
finale.
they won. Does it matter?
Well, this is what I'm wondering. I'm looking at this, and I was surprised by how few people are watching anything on network television, if you actually look at it. So America's Got Talent. So when was their finale on? What night? I have no idea. Whatever night that was.
Earlier this week.
They won the night with 1.8. Now, that's 10 million people watching. Big Brother was, they have like less than 5 million people. The Goldbergs don't even have 3 million. And, you hear about over on ABC, Modern Family. Everybody loves that show,
Oh,
right?
I love it. It's great.
Isn't it the last season or something?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a rerun. I don't know. Less than 3 million people watched Modern Family this week.
How are you going to compete with MeTV and reruns of Three's Company?
Is that what you watch, Paul Stanley?
I love that show.
Thank you, Paul Stanley. Back to your final. We swear to God it's our farewell tour.
Thank you.
See you, Paul Stanley. Hour 3 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. And I believe we have breaking news, so let's go ahead and get it started.
More headlines for Friday, September 20th.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at the monitors, and MSNBC and CNN are covering it as breaking news. Fox, it's simply a news alert. But it is happening now.
Yeah, so why don't we call it Happening Now?
Happening news.
President Trump is announcing new sanctions on Iran.
Now they're going to double down and make the sanctions even worse. And, people will be, what? what this means, I think, is that we're not going to have a military response to what Iran did in Saudi Arabia. Basically, all those missiles taking out the biggest oil refinery in the area. Supposedly, it was going to really affect oil supply in the world, but it didn't. A lot of it having to do with the fact that we have so much fracking going on in this country that it's hard to damage world supply. So,
watch your language.
Remember this. Remember this, lefties. What's keeping us out of kinetic warfare with Iran right now? One of the things is you have a president who's reluctant to do these things overseas. But what's making it easy after such a blatant attack on the world supply, what's keeping us out, lefties, remember this, is the people you hate. Frackers have changed the world supply of oil at such a level and energy at such a level that what used to be an attack that would really hurt the lifeblood of this country in the West through energy no longer hurts as much. So you're being protected, not being protected, but one of the reasons that there will not be kinetic warfare, I don't think that there will be, is one big reason is frackers. Also, by the way, the reason China hasn't mowed down everybody in Hong Kong, capitalism. So you got frackers who are keeping us out of what used to be certain warfare, and capitalism, the successful capitalist society that's going on in Hong Kong is the only reason China is not mowing down these protesters. Believe me, lefties who are listening now, China, the elites, the leaders, have not had a change of heart since Tiananmen Square when it comes to people who defy the authority of China. No. While frackers, my dear friends on the left, are one of the main reasons we're not going to get into kinetic warfare with the Iranians. Also remember that it is capitalism, a shield that you could name capitalism, an umbrella called capitalism, is actually protecting all the protesters in Hong Kong. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to walk away from all of this with Iran attacking Saudi Arabia. Now, Iran and Saudi Arabia have been doing a proxy war in Yemen for years, and Saudi Arabia can't get that underhand or in control. And what we're finding out, one thing to walk away from in all of this, because we don't have reporters anymore who dig deep. It's all horse race. Does this help Trump, hurt Trump? We don't have reporters who dig deep anymore. But if you use your eyes, here's one thing that we should be asking, and I think it's one of the reasons that we're doing sanctions rather than going in, is Saudi Arabia. What kind of military do they have? We have been selling Saudi Arabia military equipment for years and years and years and years. Some of the best stuff in the world. It comes from us. It's like our equipment. And we've been selling them missile defense for a long time, and they didn't stop any of this. I mean, they got hit by a lot of missiles, and they have missile defense systems that we've sold them that didn't catch this. So what that leads me to believe, and I think Pompeo and Trump and everybody at the Pentagon, is in a vacuum, if Iran and Saudi Arabia went to war, it wouldn't be close. Iran would run right over them, because Iran has been on a military footing really since this version of Iran started about 40 years ago. They've been through big wars. They had a big, 8-year war with Iraq. They've been on a military footing around the world for a long time, not for good, for ill. But the fact is, Saudi Arabia, if you're a Saudi Arabian, you're kind of more like a trust fund kid. They've had a lot of money, and they can buy a lot of military stuff, but not many people in Saudi Arabia have ever gone to war with anybody. So what this leads me to believe is, if we have to get in and help Saudi Arabia, it's going to be Saudi Arabia helping us, because Iran has a much better military than Saudi Arabia does right now. That's something that needs to be fixed. If we're not going to end up having to go there all the time, if we're selling equipment to the Saudi Arabians, we need to be figuring out a way to help them have a better military, because they have missile defense, and they didn't defend against any of those missiles against the most prized oil field in the world, probably. So you would think that would be well defended.
They need that Iron Dome that Israel has.
Does they have an Iron Dome?
That's what they call it, the Iron Dome.
You think they don't have it? I mean,
no, the Saudis don't.
So we have worse equipment than Israel. is what you're saying.
No,
Saudi Arabia is buying their missile defense from us.
Right.
So I think that we've got just as good as anybody in the world. But you have to have people who are manning that stuff. It has to be set up properly. Nobody's asking the question, why wasn't at least a large part of this attack thwarted? How much of it was? Were they able to knock down any missiles? Saudi Arabia wasn't sitting there with this jewel that Iran could hit with missiles without some contingency plans in place in case that happens, and it utterly failed.
Oh, no, they hit our oil field.
Yeah, we didn't think to protect those. No, they thought and they did, but it turned out that they were up, and it was Iran. I have no doubt that it was Iran. But this is our way of making them pay more. Look, the reason they're doing this is because we are hurting their economy a great deal. And it's like Putin, how do you get your people in a different mood? What do I mean? A mood not to overthrow you as a government. Then you get them all patriotic. How do you get them patriotic? You create an enemy. You say it's all their fault. And guess what? You hear from Iran, it'll be all-out war. As if Iran stands a chance in an all-out war with the U.S. But they know they're not going to get that. That's not a message for you. That's not a message to make you scared in your cul-de-sac, in your subdivision. That message is for their people. That's about patriotism. Let's get going. The big bad United States is coming after it. They would like to have some kind of exchange and then have the world step in and stop it, because these economic sanctions against Iran, people will only go so long in a miserable economy if they've lived through better for so long before they start questioning the government. And that's the kind of pressure that we're putting on them right now. And I would hope, thanks to the frackers, and I don't care how much you dislike this president, you have to use your eyeballs. He's not Bush. He's not W. He doesn't enjoy going into these overseas conflicts. That's obvious. You don't have to love the guy to see that, but it's in him to pull back on these things. And I think it's probably smarter in this case. If Iran is trying to get us into a confrontation, it's probably in our best interest and in their worst interest to not give them what they want. They're trying to rile up their people, get all this patriotism going in their country to go against the big bad America, and we're doing just fine, thank you. Now, Saudi Arabia has to be taught somehow to stand up on its own feet. Yes, we come in and we help Israel in a lot of different ways, but nobody doubts that the Israeli military can get the job done. And that's what Saudi Arabia needs to do. This new prince, when he's not carving up people that disagree with him, in consulates all over the world.
Or the Khashoggi journalist story. Boy, that's what happened to that story.
That's what I was just. That was what I was just saying. Carving up people.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. When he's not doing that, he does have somewhat of a vision for Saudi Arabia, not always being dependent on oil and getting into the future, but needs to do a better job and needs to look at what Israel does. Israel is a tiny country with a lot of people who hate them around them. They got a great military, and that's something that has to be taken into mind when you mess with them. Saudi Arabia has obviously an untested and not very good military. If you're not part of politics in Saudi Arabia and you're a man, you've had a pretty easy life. Yeah. You've had a pretty easy life. It's like being a trust fund kid. So they need to step up and do their part, and there's no reason for us. I don't think Tulsi Gabbard was right to go on record by saying you're not a pimp. The idea that she was saying that Trump was going to pimp out our soldiers for Saudi Arabia. I see, again, you can hate Trump with everything you can muster. I don't see that. I don't see that Trump is a warmonger. I don't see that you could say that this guy has been out looking to start wars. If anything, if Trump was a Democrat, every Republican I know would have been all over him for not responding to Iran the last time and coming out and saying, I didn't want to kill 100 people. But Trump is ours, so think Republicans, and they don't go after him for that. So, but in all other things being put aside, I think that's the way Republicans respond to a president who publicly said, I didn't retaliate against Iran because I didn't want to kill 100 people. But he's a Republican. Love him or hate him, that's the person that he is. So I think Gabbard was, out of her mind to go after Trump like that as if he's going around the world trying to get us into wars. He's not a neocon. That doesn't mean you got to love him, but 2 + 2 = 4, and even a clock is right twice. Stop clock is right twice a day. You don't have to hate everything. I remember, we're in this era now where people on the left and the right think that they can never, ever, ever agree with the other side on anything. And it takes me back. I remember seeing Bill Clinton. Yeah, that's right. That Bill Clinton, before he became the other Bill Clinton, when he was just starting to run for president. And he was on the McNeil Lehrer News Hour. Remember that?
Yes.
And he agreed with something that George H.W. Bush, the president at the time, had said. And he was pushed on it. There was a little bit of some pushback on that. And Clinton said, well, just because the president wears pants doesn't mean I have to wear a dress. I think people on both sides should take that into mind and consideration. Just because the other side wears pants doesn't mean you have to wear a dress. So you can dislike Trump, you can hate Trump, and still say he's not a neocon. He's not a warmonger. He's not trying to get us involved in conflicts all over the world the way the neocons, for their reasons, wanted us to do.
Well, that's probably why John Bolton again was let go last week.
Yeah, John Bolton wanted to go fight Iran. And he may have been let go for other things, too. I think Trump told us it was the mustache drove him crazy.
I didn't like it. He looked like a walrus.
You got to see that in the Oval Office every day. So the upshot is, to the left, thank the frackers and capitalism for keeping us out of this war and keeping China from bulldozing human rights protesters. It's a good question. Has anybody ever called that Walter Reeves show trying to get advice on, marijuana plants and things like that?
Yeah, somebody...
Walt... Oh. I was going to do the guy, but...
Yeah, somebody called in a couple days ago, and there was, let's just say there was an illegal plant that the gentleman was suggesting to grow, but masking it with saying that it was a tomato plant.
Well, maybe it was really a tomato plant. I mean, a lot of people actually do grow tomato plants, do they not?
I'm sure.
Why is this? Basically, whatever it takes to grow a tomato plant is the same thing it takes to grow marijuana.
My tomato plant's totally budding right now.
How long should I let my tomatoes cure before I can grind them up and smoke them?
I guess people know how to disguise their
let's just say that
illicit growing.
Let's just say that Walter's been doing it a very long time, and he knew immediately what the gentleman was doing calling him. He sniffed it out.
Well, it's like whenever you listen to the tech shows, the only podcast really that I go to are tech podcasts.
Yeah.
And whenever people call in for help or something like that, and it's always, well, I'm worried about people seeing stuff on my computer, like my taxes and stuff. And well, nobody wants to. No, that would be horrible. And whatever gets your taxes off your computer, it turns out is the same thing that keeps people from finding anything else.
My file with my social security number on it.
Yeah, I got to make sure that nobody, there's nothing else they'd find on my computer. Can you tell me how to make sure nobody gets into my Well, I got an idea, just to delete them. Yeah, but then they're still in there. That's true. All right. I was going to talk more about Iran, but I ended up sidetracked by marijuana plants.
You mean tomato plants?
Yes, tomato plants. All right, a couple things. Number one, Alan Hunt, the man who flies the spaceship, who has a military background, tells me that when we sell stuff to Saudi Arabia or anybody else, like Patriot, like a missile defense, it's always a few years behind. Like they don't get the really good stuff. So it's like we sell them like a iPhone 7. Like it was right now, we'd sell them
refurbished.
Yeah, we'd sell them the iPhone.
They still have the headphone jack.
They still have the headphone jack. We are
losers.
We're ahead of that. Another thing on that is today is the new iPhones come out today, right? Do people stand in line anymore? Are there any lines?
So.
I don't think so
Not like
either.
they used to, at least.
Because I realized after, because I'm a big Apple guy, I'm inside that walled garden, but I hate going into the stores because they make you stand around. If you walk into an Apple store and you know exactly the computer you want to buy, and in reality, you could be in and out of there in 15 minutes, they will make you stand and wait while they speak to a senior citizen and explain what a computer is to that person for 45 minutes, which, by the way, I love the fact that you take time with people and teach them. But shouldn't we have two crews, Apple? How about the Express Lane crew? These are the geniuses who are just waiting for people like me to walk in who know what the hell they want, know what they're talking about, and just want to walk in and walk out. And then for the slower set who are just getting acclimated to computers, it's wonderful that you take your time. But I found out a few purchases ago that you can do like the DoorDash Uber Eats thing with any Apple store, and they just run it to cost you an extra $9. You don't have to go stand there, look like an idiot. And somebody who's doing Uber or DoorDash or something else, they side hustle their side hustle. They go pick up your package. They bring it to you. So I don't see any reason to stand in line for anything. Now, when phones come out, I guess each store only has so many. So you want to be. I don't know how excited people are. I'm a little confused. It's the iPhone 11, and then there's the iPhone 11 Pro.
You
and
have
then there's
the triple camera on the back.
The triple camera, yeah, that's the big deal. Which, by the way, probably a smart move. Now, I'm not a photographer, and I'm not vain, at least about my face. This mug is not what I'm vain about. So I'm not a big selfie guy. But if you're going to do something with these things that are barely phones anymore, I guess having the best possible cameras and different views is probably something. I'm going to stick with mine. And
I want to go down. I want to go down one.
You want to go down one?
Yeah, I want to go down one
okay.
phone.
You want to go down a phone?
I want to downgrade my phone.
Well, you could do that. You just go to like a Goodwill or something. They got a man out there.
Yeah, I got a touch.
Get a bowling
rotary.
Yeah, get a bowling shirt and like an iPhone 8. You get your Goodwill
and an ashtray.
Which one are you on?
The one that came without the headphone jack.
Yeah, what was that?
Is that 8 or 7?
Oh, get over it. The headphone jack is gone. Get over it.
I know.
Relax. It's called Bluetooth. Have you ever heard? Wait a minute. Have you ever heard of
All right,
Bluetooth?
I have the AirPods.
Okay, you don't even need that. You just.
But I don't.
You're complaining.
You're complaining. Is something I don't
the
like.
The principle that they left 150-year-old technology behind is what bothers you. You know that headphone jack.
That's not why they did it. They didn't leave it behind because it's old technology.
No, they left it behind because they wanted to make better cameras and they needed the space inside there.
No,
there's only so much space inside. Yes, it takes up a lot of space.
Camera.
Yes, it takes a lot of space.
I spoke to someone at Apple and they said it's not because of the camera.
You don't know. How do you know this is a great guy? What do you have? You still have your
I
headphone
still
jack?
have my headphone
jack. What do you guys say? That technology, I believe, is 1910 technology.
Hey,
so what?
Everybody's using Bluetooth with their earphones now. Why do you need them? Why do you need a jack?
We recorded our Facebook Live this morning using that very headphone jack, Eric.
Oh well, I changed my.
You're
mind.
using a headphone jack right now.
I'm used because I'm. Have you? You really want to get me involved with the WSB studios? This is 1920 technology. This is the same studio when they went on the air in 1922.
Radio moves a little slower.
Yeah. So I think for me, I'm just going to wait because the photo thing doesn't mean much to me. But people are making fun of them. They call it. It looks like the top of a kitchen stove.
Yeah, it does.
It
really does.
Can I have your old phone?
It's probably you can't have my old phone. I don't know.
Can you get the new one so I can have your old phone?
Don't forget to buy your new $60 case for this phone because your old one won't work.
She is being silly though because I know for a fact she wears AirPods because I bought them and sent them to her, I believe, for some kind of gift. And so you're just complaining about something to be complaining. You don't use the headphone jack anymore.
I know, but when it initially happened, I was very upset.
Yeah, I was very upset when I was grounded when I was 10, but now I recognize why it happened.
But now,
and
if you
I
were
moved
grounded
on.
when you were 10 for a dumb reason, then you should still be upset and carry that around with you for the rest of your life.
Still over it. Hey, there's Jay Black. What is he doing back?
What?
One man to beat. He cuts behind him. 20. He's going to go. 5. Touchdown.
Georgia Bulldogs in sports with Jay Black.
Wow.
All right, Jay. We have you back again because this is a big weekend.
I'm taking over, baby.
The Irish are in town. The Dogs versus Notre Dame. And when does your program get started tomorrow?
We have pregame coverage all day. We've moved Dave Baker's show up there from 9 to noon. We've moved Belinda Skelton's show up there from 2 to 4. And then we'll get into serious football talk with our tailgate show starting at 4 o'clock with Jeff Dantzler, Kevin Butler, Eric Zier, Lauren Smith, Neil Williamson. Then we'll kick it off with Scott Howard, the voice of the Dogs, at 8:10.
I hope this drunk Irish fan isn't around when Belinda's trying to do her lifestyle show.
Oh, Belinda, where can I get myself a fine steak up here in Athens?
There's a lot of places that I'm friends with up here.
Oh, my veins are throbbing. Where should I go?
Well, you can go to Vein Clinic of Atlanta.
Right.
Maybe I should stop drinking.
Drunken Irish fan. Yeah,
What?
maybe you should stop drinking. You've been here
No,
a
that'll
week.
never happen. I'll drop dead with a bottle in me hand.
He's an athlete. Athens. He's in Athens talking about how U2's better than REM.
Oh, is this Greece? No, it's a crap hole.
I've suggested that people need to pace themselves tomorrow since kickoff is not until 8:10. Is that a problem for you?
I got no problem. I'll get an hour of sleep, wake up, puke, start over again.
Drunken Irishman was outraged that Walter Reeves won't be out in Athens.
Yeah, what's going on? He wanted his gardening tips.
I'm trying to grow hops so I don't have to keep buying beer from these corrupt officials in South Bend. They charge you so much in taxes, and our whole city's a dump.
Hey, all right, let's not get political, Drunken Irishman.
How is he going to be president when he can't even keep his little city clean?
Let's keep Mayor Pete on out of this. This is between you and the dogs.
No, I don't think so.
By the way, you really think you stand a chance against the dogs, really?
Who, against these Georgia Bulldogs?
Yeah. These Georgia.
Please.
These
We'll
Georgia.
take Georgia out to the woodshed like old Yeller.
What's the line? 13, 14?
14 and a half, depending on where you go. Now, Drunken Irish guy, Georgia runs the ball very well, and Notre Dame has struggled to stop the run. Is that a problem?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know we're going to win because we're Irish and we like to fight.
All right.
That's a stereotype, Drunken Irish guy.
No, it's not. It's the truth.
The truth is defense against stereotypes.
I guess so. Look, all your fancy talking and you're sneaking around me with whatever. I got to tell you, Jay Black, you should jump on, put on some green, maybe get yourself a shamrock hat, because Georgia, you're going down on Irish.
Got it.
I mean, two.
Something like that. We will leave that one alone. He's drunk, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so when do we get started again?
4 o'clock. Tailgate show. Kick off at 8.
And kick off at 8 p.m.
Yes.
All right, go Dogs. They're going to win by at least 17, says Eric Von Haessler.
There you go.
Thank you, Jay.
I just wanted to say I appreciate Jay Black. Eric was being all condescending and smug about his weight loss the other day, but I like Jay Black's way of describing it, and that makes me feel good, and I'm inspired. I think I'm going to stop being an idiot, too. Thank you, Jay Black. Screw you, Eric.
Whoa. Not necessary.
Thanks, Governor Kemp.
Didn't mean no fighting words out of that one.
Haessler, laughing.
Screw you, Eric.
All right, hey, I don't think that's necessary. I'm happy about the weight loss as well. Jay Black, I don't think I'm being condescending when I ask you this question.
Yes.
Can you admit right here, right now, that I was the inspiration for you to start losing this weight?
Absolutely.
Well,
I
look
saw you were looking great. I wasn't. So I wanted to get there.
Don't say you weren't looking great, Jay, because you always look great. You just noticed that you could look better. That's all.
Okay.
You can when you're nearly perfect, there's still room to grow.
Yes.
See, you also inspired me to get out there and try to lose weight.
Fake
Being
Jay Black.
Jay Black, but I like eating whatever I want to eat, so I went out and got some crystal meth, and I just been smoking that, and
Fake Jay Black.
I haven't
This
had
is-
sleep in a month, but I've lost about 40 pounds.
No, fake Jay Black. This is not the way to go. We do not recommend.
Lady J Black.
Lady J Black, are you losing weight as well?
I didn't want to stop eating the junk, so I just started throwing it up. Go Dogs.
So
I never do anything crazy like be bulimic or anything like that, because that's a serious problem. I just did all sorts of drugs and everything, and then, you don't get hungry if you're up for 7 days.
But the real Jay Black is doing it the right way. And you said, and that's what the listener was commenting on, I asked you how you were losing the weight, and you said you just stopped being an idiot.
Just paid attention to what I was eating and exercised a little more and try to get a little more sleep. And here we go.
And would you agree with me that what you find is it's only difficult for maybe a week? Once your stomach kind of shrinks a little bit, then it's not that difficult. And you realize, I've gotten to the point now where I think that eating's kind of overrated.
Okay.
I don't even indulge in it. Oh, you're not where I am yet. Huh?
No, I'm not. I'm not at the eating is overrated part.
Fake
No.
Jay Black hasn't eaten in 14 days.
I haven't eaten at all, and let me tell you, it's not overrated. I do enjoy eating, but you really don't have a good appetite when you hit that sweet crystal blue rock.
No, fake Jay Black.
And
this is not Lady
you
Jay
can still
Black.
enjoy eating plenty. 2 rotisserie chickens, 3 tubs of ice cream, bag of Doritos.
You're doing it wrong, Lady Jay
Yeah,
Black.
but no, it's fine. I'm not. I still
I just
enjoy
want to say
eating.
to the kids,
just
do
throw
not.
it up after,
No, girls, don't do
dogs.
what Lady Jay Black's doing, and kids
That's how I
don't.
lost all this
Wait till
weight.
you're 16.
Don't do what fake Jay Black is doing. Let's do what the real Jay Black is doing. You just stop being an idiot.
The methamphetamine method would be idiotic.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we don't support
Yeah, exactly.
that.
Not this way.
Yeah, no,
This way makes sense. The only thing that makes sense. Hey, if you don't like to throw up, just put it in your mouth and chew it up and spit it out with crap.
No. That's
Why
Just
even
have
bother
a
going
taste
that
of
far?
everything.
Just smoke and you're not hungry. Or you could snort it.
No one should be snorting it. No, fake Jay Black. Absolutely. The Von
Go
Haessler
Dogs.
Doctrine.
Yeah, go Dogs.
The University of Georgia does not endorse this method of weight loss.
Well, the Van Haessler laughing.
The views and opinions expressed on the Von Haessler Doctrine do not reflect the official policy or position of WSB.
Or Eric Von Haessler, for that matter, just so everyone knows. Well, Jay Black, I hope I wasn't condescending, and I'm proud of you.
And I hope I wasn't condescending either.
Let's keep on going.
Yes.
Let's keep on going.
I hope I wasn't condescending.
You were very, highly condescending. There's no getting around
I would be
that.
concerned if
What
you
does
weren't.
condescending mean?
It means when you ascend to a different place, like a different plane.
Well, you two need to go
A
date one
celestial
another.
plane. Yeah.
I can't date a lady that's throwing up all the time.
It might make
That's
the world
right, I'm real-
explode if those two dated.
All right,
I
Jay
look real
Black.
good. You know, you're going. You want to go see that Christmas show?
The Nutcracker?
Oh yeah, you're.
That's a great date.
All
Take me on
right,
Nutcracker.
Jay Black's getting in shape for a date. Win a date with Jay Black, which is coming up. I've decided early 2020. Let's get the 20s started off with a bang. We're going to start in
For Jay
January
Black.
when we come back from Christmas. We're going to start with a bang. Win a
For
date
Jay. Oh,
with Jay Black.
So after Georgia wins the national championship, then I will look for my trophy the week after.
All
Okay,
the way.
got it.
All the way, man. It's going to be 2020 is going to be a great year.
You gonna try to find me a date?
No, sir.
You can call it Win a Date with Jay Crack.
Fake Jay Black, we're not going to.
All right.
Lady J Black looking real good these days. Throwing everything up.
Do we have another story?
Yes, many
Thanks, Jay.
students across the metro skip school.
Many students, mean small, tiny children?
No, like lots of students.
Many
students.
Many students.
Many students.
Many.
Across the metro, they skipped school today and hit the streets to protest the lack of government action on climate issues.
So it's the big climate strike all over the world.
150 countries
and
involved.
I believe our schools have allowed our it's okay as long as you go to the climate strike, which is outrageous. And this is that whole Greta Thunberg.
That's right.
That's what she started this whole thing. Are you going to speak to the students, Greta? You have a
Yes.
message for them?
I have a message for the students all around the world who have participated.
This is 16-year-old Greta Thunberg who is go ahead. You just don't like climate change.
I don't like the climate changing. It should stay the way it always has been.
The people in power have gotten away with basically not doing anything to stop the climate and ecological breakdown. They have gotten away with stealing our future and selling it for profit.
You're grounded.
But we young people are waking up.
Go to your room.
And we promise we will not let you get away with it anymore.
Oh, yeah? Well, you're in for a hell of a fight because I'm going to destroy this planet before you're old enough to do anything about it.
You will die soon, I hope.
Oh, Greta, you're such a ray of sunshine. I got to take a couple things. Number one, whenever students are allowed to strike, most of them, I would say 70% of them, just are saying, yeah, I'll take a day off from school. I don't think they really care. And I have to take our friends at the AJC to task. In this story, it says the movement here and internationally is being led by young people. False. It's being faced by young people. Young people are not getting the rally permits. Young people are not building the stages. Young people are not booking the
this form in triplicate.
Yeah, come on, AGC. Let's get the real story.
I don't have 3 forms of ID.
Older people are using younger people as a face.
My last year's tax return?
Yes, I'm going to need to see all of these.
I don't know my social security
You have your
number.
passports? That's what would happen if young people were in charge of this movement. All right, that music says that these young people need to move on away from the radio for this week, but we're not done because we still go over and do the podcast 30. How do people join us?
2 places, Eric. They can go to the Von Haessler Doctrine Facebook page or the WSB Radio Facebook page. Click on the little red box on either of those pages on those Facebook pages, and you can watch this right here in the studio.
Some red boxes are a good thing. Click on ours. You'll enjoy it. Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
What's the pop culture podcast that features 3 aging Gen Xers and 1 dirty Zennial? It's Radio Labyrinth, hosted by Tim Andrews, Jeff Leboff, Stephanie Swain, and Autumn Fisher. Movies, TV, podcasts, comic books, music, and a labyrinth of tales about ourselves. You'll enjoy comedy, improv, impersonations, and recommendations for the coolest stuff you can watch, listen, or read. Check out Radio Labyrinth on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you catch your podcasts. Check us out at RadioLabyrinthPodcast.com.
Like current events and want to be the smartest among your friends? Then the Power Pod is the show for you.
The Power Pod is a weekly recap show where we cover the current events of the week.
It's a show where we're not afraid to get serious.
And we're not afraid to have some fun.
So try us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, the WSB Radio app, WSBRadio.com, Stitcher, CastBox. Okay. Anywhere there are podcasts, we are there. So power up with the Power Pod.
Space Force.
Space Force?
You like this one, huh?
I like this one. It's all noise, but he said Space Force.
The podcast 30 begins right now. Tim Andrews still here. I'm Eric Von Haessler. J-Rad on the tunes. Autumn Fisher is dead. She's laying there dead in Baltimore. This is the president. You know about that, Baltimore. Yeah.
Well, it's an asshole.
What if I died?
Well, then it
Right
wouldn't
now,
have been
what
funny.
would you do?
It wouldn't
I
have
think
been
about sometimes if there's ever like an intruder that comes in the house, I would
Mhm.
make sure my mic was on and I'd be like, Alan, call the book.
Oh, and that's all you would hear.
Yeah, and I wonder what would happen.
Well, it would be a big story. We'd probably get good ratings out of it. You'd
yeah,
be
would you be like,
dead.
breaking news, Autumn's been assaulted. We're watching her live on the Google.
She does not seem to be able to defend herself.
Yeah. Oh, he's really got her there.
The only thing we can hope for is that he just gets tired and stops.
Oh, she took that punch like a champ. Back to you, Jared.
We called 911, but it's going to be at least 12 more minutes before they get
We
there.
weren't sure of her address. I think she's in Laurel or something.
Yeah, I don't know your address if I saw something happening there.
Yeah.
Now, you gotta, so what's your address? Tell us. No? Okay. If you're
I think
watching...
the audio cut out there. It's weird.
Just to make sense here of people watching, that's Jesse in the corner that you see there. And I'm sure English Nick will join us in a moment. Well, it's Friday. What the hell is there to talk about?
Woo!
Everybody when I walk around when I'm not here the day before, I hope you're feeling okay. I never said that I wasn't feeling okay.
Yeah, I have to give it credit to Matt for this name. They're calling it Eric Von Tummygate.
No, there was no Tummygate. I didn't tell anybody that you are the one that you assume, Jared, you're the one who went around the office yesterday telling
told us that
everybody
you didn't feel
that
well.
I didn't feel well.
I assume by the text messages.
When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
That's why you only assume.
Well, what am I supposed to say? He just took off today.
assumed.
You said Eric we're going to run a repeat today.
Eric ain't coming in.
But then there's a follow-up question to that. Why is he not here today?
Okay, well, ask Eric. What would be the answer to that? Ask
And
Eric.
text him,
Like,
and he won't text you back.
It'd be like, you're the producer of the show. What do you have to say? So
I woke up yesterday and I felt like a rerun would do better than me. And
Your
so-
wife's out of town.
Hey.
What was that? What's that? That doesn't have anything to do with it.
So you could walk around naked.
Yeah, so you know what? I don't want to put any clothes on
Yeah.
and go to work.
Well, I assumed
Every
that you
once in a
didn't
while- every
maybe
once-
eat something, like you didn't eat properly the night before because your wife's out of town, so
For
you like
heaven's
had
sakes.
a corn
You
dog
think
in
I
the
am a
microwave.
toddler?
Yes.
I know how to feed myself.
Do you?
Yes, I
just
do.
eat this cheese.
They say the
I made
stinkier the
beanie
better. Every once in a while.
I don't want to go to the store. Someone will think I'm there to rape them.
Every once in a while, you take a personal day. It happens in the world. People act like it doesn't happen.
Kevin says you were.
Don't bring that up anymore.
Kevin says
Uh-oh,
you were.
why? What happened?
Kevin
Are you-
says you were gooning all morning.
I just think we talk about it a little too much.
Well, you talking about it. a
I
little bit.
haven't said
don't-
it. I
don't-
haven't said it because I know we've talked about it quite a bit.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
Well, collective.
I have not been
the
bringing it
royal
up.
we.
I have not been bringing it up. It's a personal day, but I think we had a good show today.
I do too.
I think the show on Wednesday was horrific, but I think we had a good show today.
I have a question for you.
You may. You know what, my dear? The floor is yours.
Thank you. Speaking of Jane,
Yeah. You
there-
were speaking of Jane.
I was.
By the way,
I was
she is out of
speaking
town.
Jane.
There's no reason for you to question that. She is out of town. It's not as if she's missing or anything. And because the
Where's your
neighbors
wife?
haven't seen her in a while, I
What's that
assure
smell?
you that she is she's out of town. And a man digs in his backyard from time to time. Now, go ahead.
You know how I think a long time ago I brought up a thing where there are a lot of, we know a lot about your history, but there are some big gaps in it that.
Yes, probably
are-
on purpose.
And and I don't even know where some of them join together. Like maybe one memory that you've told us about joins with another memory, but I don't know the order.
Mhm.
But this is something a little different. What was it like when you met Jane
Mhm.
and you guys would meet up together and you were falling in love?
Yes.
How did that all go down?
Well, she was married at the time.
Yeah.
And she had a 2-year-old. So it all went down, behind, away from most people.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was very innocent. I don't know.
You
know,
worked
it was innocent.
together?
We worked together.
Adulteress.
Yeah.
We worked together. I was a busboy, and she was a waitress.
Oh.
Sounded like a Harry Chapin song. I know.
She was gonna be a waitress, and I was cleaning up the plates. She moved up to Rochester, and then we went on a date.
This was when I lived in one room about the size, including bathroom and kitchen, as this room we're in right now, with the other two guys who were in the comedy group that I was Spilt Milk. And
you would
one
go
of those-
downstairs. There was like a grocery store or something downstairs.
We
and
lived
you would
above
get
a
a
grocery
Snickers
store.
bar and a soda.
Yeah, I would get
A Yoo-hoo?
a can of chunky soup, a Snickers bar, and a soda. That's all I ate. When I met Jane, I weighed 185 pounds, if you can
Yeah.
imagine such a thing on my frame. I was a starving artist, and not a very good artist, but very good at starving. So at least I'd done half.
You excelled.
I excelled at the starving part. And
All I ever ate was a Snickers, and she was learning how to cook.
So one of the members of the group, Duncan, got a job at this place that she was working at. He got me a job and the other guy a job. And so we all worked there, and she worked there. And I don't know, it was just a kind of a thing, just kind of really, it really was kind of love at, I don't know about first sight, but maybe second or third sight. I don't know. We were around each other a little bit. And then she was married. There was the problem of her being married with a 2-year-old.
Right.
And so we would get together. We would find reasons to get together that we could hang out together. So
Right.
like on Saturdays, she would, I don't know why her husband at the time didn't wonder about this, but she would do her laundry and she'd bring it all the way into the city where I lived. And we would go to the laundromat. That would give us time to be together while she did all of her laundry. And then we would sign up for things at work, like at night when you go to learn something, so that we could go do that.
That's
and
so
then
cute.
we kept, and then she's an artist, and she was starting to she would make stuff for me that had little secret messages in it. And
Really?
yeah,
Like Yoko.
yeah, little secret messages in
so
there.
cute.
It was like they were kind of Byzantine. You have to look into them, and I would make mixtapes for her because that was my thing. And the mixtapes, if you followed the flow of the songs, they had a little bit of a hidden message in there as well.
Does she still have those?
No. I think the one.
Like, I'll throw these out.
No. You
I
just
don't.
lose tapes.
You just lose tapes.
I have mixtapes I made in the late 80s, early 90s, and they have all these names on them and
Yeah,
artwork, and the songs all flow.
Yeah, and I'll never. Yeah, exactly. And it was such a big
I have
deal.
your mixed CD that you made for me, Tim.
I thought I got stolen.
I thought it did too, but then the car came back.
Sorry, it was our heart that was stolen. By
Oh,
another man.
by that
That was
guy.
my heart that was
CD.
broken.
The CD is still there. She still treasures from you.
CD.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, man. I was really, we just like, had that real love thing. Well, everybody has it, right? That opening blush. But it was just kind of weird.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase.
The honeymoon phase, except that she was already still on her honeymoon. So it made it difficult for us to have a honeymoon phase. Because isn't the first two, I mean, they've been together for a while, but their son, my oldest now, was 2 years old at the time. So we just, after a while, we just decided this has got to happen. We did not even kiss one another
Until your wedding night.
No, until she was. No, we didn't wait that
That's what I
long.
thought.
We waited. We didn't get married for 10 years after living together. So was after they separated officially, official separation for
Right.
the first kiss. But it's still an affair of the heart, right?
That's so sweet,
we knew
though.
what was going on, and it was in the wintertime.
So I
Maybe
wonder
not sweet. It's cute.
I wonder if the other gentleman, her other husband.
Well, he's now, we're all older and
Right,
wiser
everyone's
now.
fine
He's
now.
remarried. His his kid from his second marriage is now in college.
But I wonder when she brought home those mixtapes.
Oh, he knew something was up.
Oh, he had to have.
He knew something. And
Somebody at work just made you a mixtape, huh?
Yeah, yeah. That's all. What the word "love's" in everything. What's that all about?
Weird.
It was a beautiful, beautiful phase.
I didn't know she liked Taylor Dane.
Yeah, it was all like stuff that I was playing at the Top 40 radio. Taylor Dane, Milli Vanilli.
Oh,
all the
God.
greats.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Roxette.
All the greats.
I need you tonight.
Yeah, it was
'Cause I'm not sleeping.
Yeah, it was very obvious and over the top. Any other questions that you have about the gaping holes in my life?
Is that what you call her?
You're not referring to my
That's what you
wife
call
as a
her.
gaping hole in my life. That is not true.
Yes.
You have another. Well, you don't just have to be today. I'm just open to any time.
Oh, okay.
Because I do want to get my side of the story on the record.
When was your
People-
time at Mr. Steak? Was that before Jane?
That was before Jane.
Okay. That was when you were a
guys-
teenager.
The guy.
I caught
What?
myself.
What? Excuse me? What'd you say?
I was going to make a reference to BC, but then I was like, wait a second.
No.
Not the best idea.
BJ.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
Well,
Yes.
we're trying to create a
The
timeline
time
here,
at
right?
Mr. Steak is 17 to 19, on and off, back and forth.
And when did you meet Jane?
I met Jane in 1986.
How old were you?
We got together in 87. How old was I in 86? I was born in 64. I was 22 when I
okay.
met Jane. We got together a month before I turned 23.
When did
So
that?
Mr. Steak is like 83 to 86 in there, somewhere there.
Okay, so 20s. And when did the incident with the girl that you threw bus fare at because she smelled fishy?
She didn't smell fishy.
That's what you said.
No, I said that she smelled like the back of her throat was an ashtray.
No, I thought you were going.
No. Oh, you're.
down.
Oh, no, wait. Well, you're going the other way. This is back when I was. This is back when I was 14 or 15.
Oh,
One of my
really?
first times that I was trying to be intimate, and when you start out with magazines, real human smells can freak you out. That's all that I will say.
15?
I think I was 15.
Smells, sounds, sights, all those things.
All
aren't
those
the same.
things that are not there in the magazines.
No, or the
Everything's
movies.
Just sort of perfect. Movies were too much for me. I wasn't going to go to them, and we couldn't afford any sort of Betamax or anything like that back in the day. So it was still magazines. And I kind of expected real world to be like the magazine world.
Mhm.
And it was kind of a shocker for me that, people work all night and they sweat and they, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
gross.
I didn't handle that well. As I recall, I got
But
up and
now
left.
I thought, okay, so the person that you threw the bus fare at.
That was a different
That was when you were
situation.
making out with her and her mouth smelled bad.
Yeah, the back of her throat, it was like licking an ashtray.
Why were you licking the back of her throat?
Well, you know what I mean.
He has a long tongue.
Shoving your tongue in
No,
there?
whatever.
Do you remember those
Make it
days when
out.
you would make out like that?
make it
You're
out.
like, "Ugh."
Yeah, you think you know what you're doing, and you have to have somebody go, "Hey, back off,"
Yeah.
before you know what you're doing.
Oh, I don't want to tell. I don't want to.
Some people like borderline suffocation like that.
Yeah. Hey, look.
Not with a tongue, I'll tell you that.
It depends on who's with who. Wow. This has really gotten very personal. I thought you were just asking.
You're on my show called One Topic.
One topic.
It's just Eric.
What is it about smells?
I asked to be
Oh,
on that
Eric,
show.
you should be on our show and we could do smells.
Oh, so you're gonna skip right over me?
No, I'm not going to skip
Tim
over you.
Andrews, you have
Tim
not
wants
been
to
on the
be
show?
on our show, and I would love that. Do you have a topic in mind?
No, you guys pick the topic that you
No,
think
you
it would be
pick the
good for me.
topic.
No. I want you and
I
Greg.
like buttons in a jar.
Yeah,
I love that.
You and Greg pick the topic that you think is related to me, and then I'll just answer your questions, or
No,
we'll talk.
Tim, that's not how it works. You have to
Wait.
come in with the topic.
Is that now? Do you guys do this? Is this when you had Lucky Yates on? Did he bring the topic?
He brought the
me
topic.
talk about me.
No, he wanted to talk about sandwiches, and so we had a really great episode about sandwiches.
There's Lucky Yates and Joe. Lucky Yates, of course, from the Archer Show, and a friend of ours for a good long time.
So long.
What is his
18
favorite
years?
sandwich?
Lucky sandwich.
Yeah. Whatever sandwich is in front of me. No, he mentioned a good roast beef.
Okay. Oh, me too.
He talks
Me too,
but
but it's
you
got
know,
to be
I think
Boar's Head. I don't know about Lucky, but it's got to
we
be
ta-
Boar's Head.
we
The
talked a lot
difference-
about Boar's Head.
Why doesn't everyone else just do what Boar's Head does? I don't get it. Why?
Because it's slurry, right? Because like, sometimes it's just like a weird slurry meat and not actual meat.
It's real. No, boar's head is real.
I'm not talking about boar's head. I'm saying
the other
other
stuff.
meat.
Yeah, sometimes you buy it and it sparkles and reflects.
Like, no,
it's iridescent. It looks like a beetle's wing.
Yeah. No. That's it's not supposed to be marbleized.
Yeah.
No,
it's supposed to be boar's headian.
So yeah, but I think he mentioned that just like a regular peanut butter and jelly, like a classic
PBJ.
I like peanut butter, and I never trust the jelly because I don't eat it enough. And my wife will have jellies from I don't know, decades ago. There's jellies that in jams. I don't know if they're new
She's
or
so
old.
British.
Yeah, and so
like
and like
it's called preserves for a reason. You can preserve it for a long time.
But not forever.
after it's open.
Not forever. And so usually I end up just with the peanut butter. But I don't know how you can. I don't really understand when people. By the way, English Nick joining us.
Good day.
I don't understand when people say my favorite sandwich is peanut butter and jelly or toasted cheese. Come on. I mean, it's just not difficult to make those sandwiches.
No, but it's talking about. It doesn't matter about the
Comfort.
difficulty. It's about what is your go-to.
Yeah.
And what, like Tim said, what is comfort sometimes?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. You should have been on our show.
Peanut butter, butter, and jelly. That's mine.
You like
no butter.
Oh, really? You're gonna add more. You're gonna add more depth.
Peanut butter and butter
doesn't have enough. Butter is right in there. It's not
Butter's
just
good for you.
Yeah. I mean, you got butter in the peanut butter.
There's no butter in
There's
peanut
no
butter.
butter in peanut butter.
Why isn't there any butter in
Sure, there's
peanut butter?
butter.
It's called that, but there's no butter in it. There's no
there's
cream.
no butter in there.
There's
No, but it's got buttery consistency.
It's got a buttery
But that
consistency.
doesn't mean it's butter.
Well, peanut butter, no butter. It's all
Apple
peanuts.
butter
Why don't we
doesn't
just call it peanut?
Jumbo shrimp. What?
Hey, apple butter. Did they milk the apple to make the butter? Why?
Well, that means butter means what you're talking about is classic butter.
Yeah.
Traditional butter is what you're talking about.
They got Amish people churning apples all day. I don't have butter yet.
But peanut butter has an awful lot of the butter quality already built into it, and yet you add butter. Now, I will say on toast.
Every sauce you put on something else. You don't put applesauce on anything. It's just by itself.
I used to put butter below the peanut butter on my toast.
Oh, it's so good
Me
because the
too.
butter
I know,
melts and
but-
soaks in
Oh
the
my
bread.
I gotta say, as I got
for you.
as I got older,
Oh, it's awful for you.
it wouldn't sit well in the stomach. So I had to
It's
get rid of
really
the butter.
good.
Yeah.
Oh,
And this
Jared,
is
you
from-
don't know anything about peanut
This is
butter.
from my childhood. You take so my parents like once a week would have breakfast for dinner, and there'd always be leftover bacon.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next day, my mom would toast some bread and put butter and jelly, too much jelly, probably of grape jelly. And
All right,
put
you know
the
I'm
cold-
sensing a lot of animosity toward your mother here. No,
I'm
let's
into
keep
it.
Let's keep
Only
it to the
she, and
sandwich.
I try and make it, and I can't perfect it. You know what I mean? Like it's not right. But you put the cold bacon on it, and you eat that. And it's so good.
Oh, just give me the bacon and everything else.
Peanut butter and bacon's good.
Now, when it comes to bacon, I would say it's highly overrated, but it's great. It's just that something great has been turned into some sort of mythical weirdness. But I like mine well done. I don't like it to be.
You don't like it in the oven?
You don't. You like it so you feel that you want to taste and chew the fat.
Yeah.
Autumn? Ooh, no, not me.
Caroline's the
You know
same
what
way.
I
you,
like
you know
crisp
what you say
bacon.
at Waffle House? If you don't want it crispy, you say, I want bacon, hold the weight. Because then they don't put that little press on top of it.
I wouldn't have to say that.
Yeah, you'd be like,
Crisp it up.
You know what you say to the Waffle House waitress when you see Kid Rock?
what?
Call 911.
Run. Run.
After you ask her where she got that sore.
Is that contagious?
There's lots of sores.
You know what I always think about? Michael Stipe before he was in REM. Remember he had that wild hair, that Berenstain Bear hair?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking this back when he spoke like he was from the South.
Oh, yeah.
Before he
Hey, I'm Michael Stipe, and I'm from Athens, Georgia.
He worked at
I wish there was footage of him.
He worked at Waffle House. You imagine with all that hair? I mean, there's no way to not get
No,
that
they
hair.
have to. They put it in a
Scattered,
net. I
smothered,
bet.
and
He didn't speak like that.
Can't get there from here.
Yeah, that REM.
Shiny,
You know what?
happy waffles.
It was Larry the Cable Guy and Michael Stipe switched.
That's right, because Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
I worked with him, and I can't remember what his real name was. when
Well,
was
he wasn't
working
that
on it.
way?
No, he
No,
wasn't
he
that
was just
way.
like a New York
So
comic.
you're right. When Michael Stipe decided to sound like sort of an English poet,
Yeah.
is the exact time that Larry the Cable Guy decided to adopt. Maybe they swapped.
Well, now
Get her
he,
done.
hang on. Michael Stipe lives in New York. Michael Stipe lives in New York now, and Larry the Cable Guy probably lives in the South.
Yeah.
Go Dogs!
Get her done.
Get her done, dogs. Get her done. Take on them Irish
He's
alcoholics.
he's at a fancy dinner,
Yeah.
he's got his fanciest suit on, but the sleeves are ripped off, and he's like, yeah, and I find the political climate, and then someone's like, excuse me, Larry. Hi, yo, what's going on? You need me to shine that 10-gallon hat?
Boy, this suit really wears off my guns, don't it?
He had a meteoric rise and doesn't seem to be.
I'm still doing good.
I'm still, you fill out, well, maybe the Tabernacle or something.
Yeah.
But,
Didn't he open for Styx earlier this year? I think he was on a tour with
that's
Styx.
a hell of a show.
I
right
believe
there.
so. It was some comedian. I think it might have been him.
Domo arigato.
I gotta tell you, he made this.
Lady.
He made this movie that I can't say was good, but I have to say that I kept watching, and there's something about it made me laugh. Kind of like a Jerry Lewis movie or something.
He's
the
not.
One,
He's
the one where he
talented.
ends up in Mexico or something, and there's wrestling, or the real skinny guy that's on the what's the Amazon show, Philip Dick.
The one about World War II with the Nazis one.
Yeah. The real skinny
Man
kid.
in the High Castle?
Yeah, the
that.
skinny guy with the big ears and that.
DJ Qualls.
Yeah, he's in it. And I don't know. I was watching this thing saying, you should turn this because it's a Larry the Cable Guy movie and it's idiotic. But I'm not going to be above it. I laughed, kind of like a Jerry Lewis movie.
I hate it when comedians, just a second, I just hate it when, the elite comedians, the ones that are real smart, they're smarter than us, that's why they're funny.
Yeah.
They attack him for no reason. Look, I'm not a huge fan of his stand-up comedy, but the guy used to fill up arenas, and if you're making people laugh.
Yeah, no, they attack him because he's equated with what we call the Trumpers, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
The Midwest.
But they were doing it before Trump.
Yeah, before that.
They were doing it well before,
Yeah.
but the people who hate Trump hated those people long before Trump as well. So it's the same kind of thing. It's it's easy because but you know what? I was thinking about blue comedy. My friend T. Sham, we had a conversation about this back in the 90s. I don't know why it came up. Most comedians will get as blue as they can. Like, for instance, Christian comedy. They'll do a lot of fart jokes. Even though they can't do sex jokes, right? Because it's Christian comedy.
They don't curse, right?
And they don't curse, but they'll do fart jokes. So people tend to get as blue as they can, whatever lane they're in. So there's no reason to be, look, you either make people, Larry the Cable Guy doesn't really make me laugh with his stand-up.
Well, he didn't make me laugh. I just understand.
But that movie did. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, maybe I was in a mood and maybe I was on something.
You know what? It's almost like, it's almost like the band Nickelback. I don't like it, but I get why it works.
No, they suck.
Yeah.
And
Bad
they
analogy. Bad analogy.
They actually, they're another one. It's not possible for Nickelback to be as bad as people have made them.
Right. No, of course not.
But what it is we hate the crowd. That's what it all comes down to.
Well, and
People
it was
don't-
the epitome of that sound.
I don't know about that. I actually,
that 90s sound that like.
It's not even 90s, man. It's
No,
2000s.
2000s.
Yeah, they're past that. Post 90s.
The words.
Autumn, how are those fingernails doing there? You're digging in there with that nail clipper, getting the dirt from under those blue fingernails.
That's her thing.
That is
my
Autumn.
addiction.
Autumn has a thing about that. And back when we were doing the Mad Pundit stuff, and for some reason we were getting together every day, acting like we were a company
What years
of
were
some
that?
kind.
What years?
You want?
Oh, thank you,
want me to-
Jared.
want me
Let
to-
me write it down.
Year of our Lord.
I got to fill a gap for you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Gap year. That would be 2003 into 2004 when we were doing the Mad Pundit stuff. And in that time,
2003, really?
yeah, in that time period, Autumn would clip my nails. Not because I was a guy who was like, clip my nails. She really wanted to clip my nails. She's got
It wasn't really clipping your
thing.
nails. It was taking care of your cuticles.
Oh, yeah. She liked the cuticles. She pushed back the cuticles. And
I
let me
would
tell you
snip 'em
something.
off.
If anybody needs that, I can vouch for her.
You should get a
very
chair.
good.
Get a chair in that basement. Invite some people in to get their nails done.
My cuticles have been horrible since 2004.
Yeah, she's great at this, and I never once felt like it was a creepy thing. She was never creepy while she was doing my nails. I
Did
was
you look
a
down my
couple
shirt?
times. Sometimes, but I mean that's okay, right?
Can't help it.
Hey, you're laying them out there.
You're like those one of those fish at the spa that you go to that eats all the dead skin. You like to clip the
Well, I
nails
didn't
like
eat
that?
it.
No, she used to do
Yeah,
that
you
as
did.
well. She would chew on the bottom of my feet, and not good. Not because it was anything I demanded as the boss. She just wanted.
Gross.
I just tried to make my employees happy. That's all.
Oh, the
I used
grosser
to
the
do it, but
bottoms, the
then
better.
she started doing it better than me, so he wouldn't let me chew on his feet anymore.
Yeah, Greg wouldn't do
So
that. Greg was too weird. He's too easily distracted by other things.
Does he eat? He probably eats your toenails when she cuts them too, or your
I don't
fingernails.
I eat my own.
They won't digest, will they? Toenails? They'll just pass right on through. won't they?
Yeah,
No,
they
why
slice
would- they're not
yourself. They slice you
stones.
on the way out, don't they?
I mean,
Not if you chew
they'll
'em.
slice you on the way out. Ow! God, I never-
Yeah, tiny throwing stars.
Yeah, speaking of people cutting people's fingernails and toenails, I just watched a disturbing movie by that same director who did The Lobster. One of his earlier movies, Dogtooth. And man, there's a scene where a teenage daughter is cutting her father's nails.
Do I want to hear this?
Dark.
Well, because it stayed with him like a good movie
But also,
does.
there's some comedic moments in this movie that's very dark.
I've told you this before. I've never seen anything by this director. My
gotta see
son,
The Lobster, man.
who I respect very much when it comes to his movie knowledge, loves this director.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a movie after the Lobster that my wife and my
Oh,
son
The
like
Killing
to
of the Sacred Deer.
No. It's called. It's like one word. Appearance or allowance or something.
Allowance.
What's the guy's name? Somebody look up the
Alps.
Lobster
There's
guy.
Alps.
Yeah, look up the Lobster guy who did the Lobster.
Yaris.
What his last movie was.
I thought it was The Killing of Sacred Deer. Am I wrong?
No, you told me that was another earlier one, wasn't it?
No, that was after Lobster.
Okay, there's something that's come out since then.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
That's right. He's Greek. He's a Greek director. Apparently,
Yeah.
he directs Naked.
Well, that
The
can't be good for the
favorite,
Me Too.
Alps.
Oh, The Favorite. Yeah, that's a good one.
The Favorite. That's
Yeah.
the
The favorite was weird.
It is weird. All his stuff is weird.
My
but
my
great
family
filmmaking.
loves that movie, The Favorite.
Really?
And what's her name?
My
Olivia.
wife and my son. Yeah.
The actress won an Oscar for that.
I don't know about the other son, but my youngest son, my wife.
I
What?
wanted to. I was into it, and then I was confused.
Well, that's okay. What are you, a bank teller? Are you supposed to just have manufactured stuff thrown at you? You're
No.
a creative mind. Relax.
100%.
Roll with it.
Well, I'm allowed to not like a movie.
No, you're not.
Oh.
Did you not read the fine print?
I'm sorry, I forgot.
That's okay. You didn't know, so it's all right.
I didn't know.
Look at
this food.
I gotta watch. I want to make myself watch
The
more
Bulldogs.
movies. I want to make myself watch more movies. I signed up for the Criterion Channel.
What is the Criterion Channel?
It's $100 a year, and it's the Criterion Collection. They do all the great movies.
You should listen to Radio Labyrinth podcast. That way you'd find out about all the great movies that you're missing.
Really?
Yeah, but don't
But
you
what
guys
about
talk
the-
about new movies though?
And
Well,
what about
new, old, we talk about everything.
what about that filthy mouth on Autumn Fisher?
Well, sometimes it's tamed. This
Talking
week
it.
it was tamed because it was a birthday show for Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
There just
And-
wasn't a lot of
and
room
Chad.
for me to roll
swear.
in the filth.
Yeah, really get your roll in the film.
Yeah, her fingernails aren't the only
Rolling
blue
in
thing
the
on that podcast.
You know what? You're not doing a good job. You're not reminding me every day to mention all the podcasts.
No, I put it on the show sheet.
I know, but I have this
And
intention.
I even took out the verbiage there because you didn't like it. So
I
I put it in bold.
I
Radio
have-
Labyrinth, one topic, the Power Pod, and 5 to go.
Just remind me. My intention is that at different times in the show, every day, I push those, and then I get, me, I get very scatterbrained.
Hey, when I fill in for Jared on Monday, I'll make sure to do that.
Will you make
yeah,
sure?
I'll make sure.
Because he's got
he's
Molly.
slacking off on
He's-
a Molly
he's
trip.
He's going to be off. His eyes going to be so dilated.
Marshmallow.
Yeah, when I found out that 7 Lions and Marshmallow are closing out Sunday night, that's ending
Yeah.
at midnight.
Yeah.
In order to drive home, leave the campsite, drive 30 minutes home, or actually really walk out
Who's
of
driving?
walk out of Atlanta Motor
Who's
City.
driving after
Oh,
that?
there's not a chance.
Somebody.
Oh, I thought you guys would sleep over and just leave Monday morning.
Well,
Why
that's what we're
wouldn't
gonna.
you do that?
That's what we're gonna do.
don't drive.
Originally, I was gonna come in and do Monday's show and just kind of what I did for Music Midtown, just kind of taper things
Wing it.
off as the night goes on. Then head home, but because we're all camping, you have to take apart camp. I wouldn't have gotten home until
Oh,
probably
yeah.
3:30 in the morning, which that would have been a very bad Jared on Monday.
I want to talk to Jared in 22 years when he's the same age as me, and I say, this is easy.
Yes,
I have
oh.
plenty of Sundays where there might be a little bit of party here and there.
Yeah,
but
you
you get to a point where you
You're
stop.
a
and-
rocker. You know what? Well,
I did
you're
it
a
fine.
rocker.
Music Midtown last week. I was
Oh,
fine.
no,
I had a great
you're
time.
A rock. See, the thing is, you got that rock and roll stuff.
got the
and
genes.
You guys are, unbelievable.
The literal
but-
genes.
I mean, if you think about rock stars, especially in their initial fame, all the drugs and all the alcohol and all the commitments that they have to be on stage every night in different towns, and the party keeps on going. Youth has something to do with that, but you have it in you where you can keep on going. I know how you are, English Nick. You just say, well, I'm going to go. If I vomit when I get there, so be it.
Let's go.
But I'm going to be there
Jump off
because
the cliff.
usually you have to be there to get the money. That's what rock bands know. They can show up and have the worst set ever, but they're going to get paid. If they don't show up, they're not going to get paid.
I had a manager at a restaurant say, if you're going to party like a rock star, recover like a rock star.
That's exactly it.
I like that. That's a T-shirt waiting to happen. Right?
Sometimes if you're around these people, their constitutions are different. That they can,
Yeah, they're
until
alcoholics.
5:30 in the morning.
They're kind of aliens.
But even alcoholics the next day can be useless.
Well,
Not necessarily
typically-
show up and do their jobs.
Typically, people who might have a little bit of a problem with something like that do recover very well the next day.
Oh,
she's
ruining
trying to
it.
say.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
she trying to say?
She's
I'm just
ruining it.
saying because
No, you should feel off the hook. She's saying you're not an
keep
alcoholic.
doing it.
AEN, alcoholic English Nick. Here
She's
we
saying
go.
English Nick is an alcoholic and Jared is not because he
I'm not
needs a day
saying
to
all,
recover.
I'm not saying every case
Oh,
is
we
that
know
way.
what you meant. We know what you meant.
I can't wait. When Autumn comes to town next time, we're going to have a session.
Oh,
we're gonna have,
what do you mean by that?
A drinking
Ooh.
session. We're going to have a drinking session.
Nick, I never knew.
We're going to drink some.
No, you're way too old for
way
Nick.
too old for Nick.
You're only 20 years younger than me.
Once those kids come out,
Yeah,
What's
come on,
going
Nick.
with you?
Am I a
You're not-
MILF?
You're still not.
No, there's nothing concrete. It's just, I have
Milf.
friends. I have friends.
That's gross.
I have friends who I hang out with.
Okay, so you
You
get
know.
okay. Nick's always going to get his, but you're saying is there's no
There's
no relationship.
commitment
No special
right now.
lady English Nick?
No special English lady.
No one's being
Lady Nick.
No one's
An
being
English Rose? You haven't met yourself an English Rose.
That's right.
no one's being invited over to binge watch anything on Netflix with
Not
you.
at the moment, no.
Come over and watch Unbelievable. It's uplifting.
All right, you know what? I saw a thing that said Amazon finally gets its hit show with Undone. Last night, I start to watch this show,
What is that?
Undone. It's one of those things that looks like it's a cartoon, but it's actually actors.
Oh,
when they do that.
I've brushed by it. Yeah, I saw
okay.
it.
So I watched the first 10 minutes, and it seems, the acting I don't know about. It's a millennial take on things. Nothing against the millennials, but within 2-3 minutes, there's like some talk about the climate and evil corporations. Like, okay, I'm done.
They're saying this is their first hit?
First, the whatever this critic was saying,
Oh,
this
'cause
finally has their standard, great.
Mrs. Maisels won a bunch of Emmys.
Yeah,
I would
Mrs.
say.
Maisels. That's a pretty funny show too.
Yeah.
My wife watches it. I catch a little bit of it.
I was just thinking about that.
All right, we got to turn this around very quick. I'm going to say to the Facebook people, I know how Jared is when he has something to do. So we're just going to end everything right now. No after the after. And
Thanks, man.
we're going to be, you annoy me when you get like that. So I'm handing it off at the pass. All right, you be careful this weekend.
I will.
All of our listeners, be careful.
Thank you, Nick, for covering for me, and thank you, Jesse, for covering me on Monday. I'll see you
Anytime,
guys
man.
on Tuesday.
We'll see everybody on Monday. Autumn, God bless you.
Adios.
Bye.